Oh my gosh, it's on me.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Lord God, we just come to you this evening and ask that you would be with each and every one of us here. We ask that you would guide our hearts and minds, allow us to do the work that needs to be done for the benefit of our citizens and for the benefit of our city. Lord God, we pray for all the people around us at this time in this part of the year when we celebrate the birth of our Lord and Savior. We just ask that you would temper people's words, temper their thoughts, and just allow that peace to be prevalent throughout this season when so many stresses and the problems of the world try to come against us to drag us down. Let us look to you as our source of hope, as our source of guidance, and as our source of peace and strength. I pray for our first responders, Lord God, and ask that you would watch over them and keep them safe as they do the same for us. Be with our nation, Lord God. Guide and direct those who are in charge of making the decisions. Allow them to look to you for the wisdom that will guide them in what they need to do. Be with our soldiers, Lord God, and those who are overseas. Keep them safe. Bring them home to us. Bring them home to their families. And allow us, Lord God, this evening to be good stewards of what has been given to us, to look to you for the answers that we need, to follow your guidance, and allow you to be the one that directs Fort Scott into the future. God bless us, everyone. God bless Fort Scott. And God bless the United States of America. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I want to welcome everyone to the December 6th City Council meeting. We'll do a roll call.
Josh Jones,
Here.
Tim Van Hookey,
Here.
Edwin Walla, Matthew Wells,
Here.
Katie Harrington.
Here. Next, we'll take consideration of the consent agenda. Any questions on that?
Under E, the O'Brien Rock Company, I noticed they charge fuel surcharge on this one. Have they done that before? I don't remember the bid price on that, having a fuel surcharge on it.
No, they have not. We are looking into that to see when they started that, and if they did, we need to go back and get a refund for that.
Okay. Well, do we want to then
Pull it out.
Well, I would just make the motion to, well, I don't know if we want to pull it out or just pay it without the fuel surcharge and go ahead and pay it. I mean, I guess since they invoiced it, I just pull it out and ask them about it, so.
I'd move to approve the consent agenda minus item E.
Second.
Josh Jones,
Yes.
Tim Van Hookey,
Yes.
Edwin Walla,
Yes.
Matthew Wells,
Yes.
Katie Harrington.
Yes. There is no public comment tonight. We'll move on to old business, the consideration of amended truck route ordinance. You guys want to start with just one? Do you want to do all three?
Well, I think
Go
the
ahead.
only thing I'd like to throw out there for discussion on this is again, I appreciate the work that was done very much. I know it wasn't easy. I did watch the last street advisory board meeting, and there were some concerns there. But I guess I would ask if Jeff, if you've got an update. I know the city got a TEAP grant. There's a group of 5 or 6 engineers they're looking to select, actually come in here and do a truck route study for us. Did they give you a time frame?
No, I tried to contact KDOT. I talked to KDOT Bill, I can't remember his last name, last week, and the deadline was end of November, and he thought he would have them ranked and the firm selected last week. He hasn't gotten that done, or I couldn't get a hold of him today. Specifically, I don't know who the firm is. He indicated that what'll happen is then they'll come down here, do a scope of services on the project,
then bring it back up to KDOT and they'll pay 100%. But I don't have an idea of how long it would take because I couldn't make contact today.
Okay. Like I said, I just don't want, if we make these changes, we go out, we buy signage, we hang up signs, we do the whole 9 yards again, and then KDOT comes down here and says, you know what, this is how we really think it ought to be. We got to change it around after expending those calories and dollars. I mean, like I said, I understand the importance of the truck routes and the streets, but I would like to hear what KDOT under this grant that they're providing us to do for Fort Scott at no charge says. And unless they come back and they say, you know, it's going to be next year, or not next year, because next year's next month, but I mean, it's going to be 8 months, 10 months, 12 months.
Rough indication, just preliminary, you know, it could take 6 months. That's just grabbing. That was, you know, but you don't know who the firm is that they've selected.
I mean, it could be sooner than that, too.
Yeah, it could be.
Winter season.
And
guys
I
looking for
even
those
asked, I called, left a message, put an email. I said, well, tell me who it is and I could contact that firm, but I couldn't make it happen. If council elects to go ahead and proceed, there would be some startup time. One, the signs are not here. Two is, and the chief may have some comment as far as enforcement. You know, it's going to be a time frame to let people know when it would take effect. Travis, do you have any comment on that?
I think signage is a big deal, but that already one of the bigger things we need to do. But I think that we get start enforcing. I think national is a big one that we can really without really any changes even being done. I think we'll start working on that. Between 6th Street and down around the Sonic area. I think that the only concern that, and I was just reading the new revised one, but on the last page, what we'll essentially be doing is overturning the ability for these truck drivers to drive their truck to their house. Am I reading that right? With or without a semi-trailer. And so, if that's overturned, it's fine with me, but I didn't, there may be some folks that come in.
Well, that wasn't, that was not part of this ordinance to begin with. It was, I think, an additional thing that was passed in 2005 by the city commission. And I don't even know if they made it an ordinance or if they just passed something saying that they were going to allow that. But it was not attached to this ordinance. So if they did pass an ordinance in 2005, that one will still be on the books.
Yeah. I looked it up here a while back when we had the discussion.
Yes,
and
sir.
I didn't want you guys getting brushed back if that was, if we're gonna overturn that, which is fine. But
Well, if they're not hauling their tractor trailers to their home,
they can't pull their trailer home. Currently they can drive to their direct residence. Can't be running. There's stipulations there, but that's the way it was changed in 05. And whether we keep it like that, it's fine with me. If you
Yes.
want to overturn it, I mean.
yeah, I don't see any need to overturn what they voted on in 2005. These are just changes to these three ordinance based on what we had talked about.
I really like the changes to the truck route. In fact, it adds some streets in there that makes sense in my mind as well. So I like those changes, and I think that there's a better we can enforce these better.
Yes.
So
But the point, if it's approved, and I think Travis is this way, is we aren't gonna, I can't speak for him, but we're gonna rush out and do a lot of tickets.
No, I would say at a bare minimum, we would like to give people at least 3 weeks or more. Send out some letters, make sure that we notify the sale barn, make sure that we notify all of the places around here that are receiving deliveries, maybe even make a form letter that we can hand out to them to give to their delivery drivers. Make sure that we give them a grace period here where we can educate everybody about what we're trying to accomplish beforehand, because our goal is not to find a bunch of truckers. Our goal is to help them understand why we need them to not drive on these specific streets and destroy the hard work and waste our taxpayers' dollars.
And I think most of these are regular delivery drivers. We make a few traffic stops that, like you say, educate and say, look, this is.
One of
Yeah,
the
you-
big deals, yes, since, and you all know this, I'm probably taking much time, is the GPS thing that,
Mhm.
that, how that works.
Yeah.
Because, you come in and national is the issue, you're
Mhm.
there and they immediately, the GPS tells.
Tries
go
to send you
Wall
down.
Street,
Yep.
And particularly if we start doing some stuff to Wall Street.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway,
Yes, yes. With some of the current or the plans that are on the book for Wall Street, this is something we would have to address anyway. So addressing it now makes it easier on everything that we would like to do here in the future. Again, I met with the guys from the Street Advisory Board, even had their representative meet with me and our attorney. And the language that's in these ordinances is the language that the Street Advisory Board requested that we have in these ordinances. So we took all of their concerns into consideration and drew this up exactly the way the Street Advisory Board wanted it drawn up.
I get your thoughts real quick, Matt, with
Yes.
this, with the Teal grant coming along. I mean,
Well, see, and I would go back to what our attorney said. What we're doing right now is we're giving the police officers the authority and the guidance and the help to be able to just enforce what was already on the books. The great thing about these ordinances are if we don't like them, we could change them next week, next month, next year. It's up to us as the commission to continue to move forward on these things. If it's going to take 6 to 9 months, that's 6 to 9 months where we're going to watch destruction of all the hard work that we just spent the taxpayers' money doing. Coupled with the fact that we're allowing trucks right now to drive across bridges that are not rated for the weight that's going across them. If one of those bridges collapse, then this commission right now could be held liable because it's been presented to us that that is a concern. And if we don't act, then we're the ones responsible.
Which bridges are you talking about that aren't rated for weight load?
In particular, the Rainbow Bridge down at the end of National. Right now, we currently have trucks coming in off of 54 Highway, driving up Wall Street, turning right on National, and driving down across the Rainbow Bridge, and then out to the sale barn,
And what's the weight limit on
19
bridge?
tons.
19 tons?
And I
There's
can
no
s-
sign down there?
Yes, and I consistently see trucks over 19 tons going across that bridge. Because right now, we don't have the signage up that says no trucks right up here on Wall Street. We don't have signage up. We have signage coming back after you cross that bridge telling no trucks. But again, this gives our police officers an easy way to be able to identify the trucks and an easy way to be able to enforce it. We eliminated several of the roads that are no longer used, and we added 3 of the roads that the police officers suggested that we add. So when you look at this, what you have before you is an ordinance based upon what the police officers requested and what the Street Advisory Board suggested. So with those thoughts in mind, I'm going to motion that we move forward and pass these new ordinances.
I believe you have to.
We have to individually do it. Yeah, we have to do per ordinance. So, the first one that we're gonna go through is ordinance number 3621. It's with the violations, the penalty for violations.
Then I motion that we vote yes on ordinance number 3621.
Move to accept this.
what's the penalty for violation now?
Yeah, well, I was getting ready to ask that. What is it's 125 to 500.
Before it was $50 up to $125 and no court cost. This is still extremely on the low end. Most cities are at $3,500 on their fines, so we're well below every other city around us.
And I'm assuming, Travis, that like everything else you do, this would probably, until it's been around for a while, I'm sure it's probably just repeat offenders that would be.
Right. Yeah. I agree wholeheartedly. I don't want to rule with iron fist, but we want to get this corrected. And so, my direction would be give, let's give some grace period. Let's get some. I think we start making our traffic stops, but we can be flexible on when we start writing our citations.
I'm going to second this motion.
Matthew Wells,
Yes.
Edwin Woloff,
Yes.
Tim Van Hookey,
Now, this is just for the fine portion.
Yeah, just the violation
Yeah.
penalty. This is for
I'll
ordinance
vote yes on that.
3621, penalty of violations.
Josh Jones,
Yes.
Katie Harrington.
Yes. Josh, I think your mic's off. So the next ordinance up for discussion is ordinance number 3622. This is for the routes of significant
I'm going to
or
motion
signified.
that we
Sorry.
accept ordinance number 3622 with the upgraded streets for the truck routes.
This can always be changed, correct? Where if KDOT comes in, we can always amend this to what we needed to state. I second this.
Matthew Wells,
Yes.
Edwin Woloff,
Yes.
Tim Van Hookey,
I'm going to vote no on this one simply based on the note from the city manager. 5 engineering firms submitted proposals to our KDOT truck route study. Mr. Bailigi of KDOT informs me he will rank them this week and send the highest rated firm to meet with us and draw up the scope of services for the completion of the study. KDOT will then set the cost and pay for the study to be completed. This is a $15,000 to $45,000 study that should all be used for other cities in Kansas and the region experiencing the same issue. So again, appreciate the effort, the work that's done. I don't want to have to go back and do anything. So on this particular motion, I'm going to vote no. Thank you.
Josh Jones,
Yes.
Katie Harrington.
Yes. Next one is the ordinance number 3623, vehicles required to follow the truck route. This indicates like pickup cargo trucks, every truck, tractor, trailer, and the axles.
Again, this ordinance is just to clean up the language so the police officers can clearly identify without having to have any scales which trucks would fall under this ordinance, and still allows delivery to any place in town that they need to make a delivery, puts no stipulations on any deliveries that need to take place anywhere. So I'm going to motion that we accept ordinance number 3623.
Second that.
Matthew Wells,
Yes.
Edwin Woloff,
Yes.
Tim Van Hookey,
I'm going to vote yes on this one because hopefully if the KDOT thing gets in, and this doesn't state or designate new streets, the KDOT would not enter the survey. This just simply directs, and this is for the public's knowledge, taking the shortest routes for pickup and delivery, so on and so forth. So it's more of a procedural or process for the trucks themselves. So I'll vote yes on this one.
Josh Jones,
Yes.
and Katie Harrington.
Yes. Next is the appearance of Jackson Tuff.
Oh, sure. She says it's an appearance by me, and then she gets up and leaves. Madam Mayor. Good evening, commissioners. Glad to be with you this evening. And I'm pleased to report that Fort Scott tourism continues to strengthen, and we're busy targeting our the primary visitors to the area. As we close out 2022, for our tourism year, the revenue collected through the transient guest tax is up. Again, finishing more than $30,000 over our projections, and that's a 21% increase year over year. So pleased about that. What that does is that allows us just a little more funding for marketing, we hope. Our efforts include a variety of marketing avenues, of course. Some of them are tried and true, and others we research and try and discover new opportunities. I'll run through some of these activities for you and stop me if you have any questions. In 2022, this year we used Central Brochure Distribution, and their area covers 35,000 square miles with 144 brochure racks located in 57 Kansas communities and 4 communities in south central Nebraska. In 2023, this next year, our Central Brochure Distribution should be approximately 3,000 rack cards distributed, plus rack cards in our Kansas tourism affiliated travel information centers across the state. Also researching expansion into other markets. I've been corresponding with folks in places like Kansas City, Wichita, Tulsa, Springfield, to figure out how much that would cost us to have a little better presence in those markets through our rack cards. And I'll let Rachel come up and talk about this in just a few minutes. But Rachel French and My One Stop have been helping us design and fine tune new rack cards. And those are going to be, we're going to utilize a lot more in the way of QR codes to direct people back to the website. A little more easily trackable. And but I'll let her explain that here in just a couple of minutes. Print publications, of course, you know, historically a lot of places used a lot of print. We don't use as much as we did. I've gotten away from that. Devoted our funds more towards online marketing. But the print that we do focus on is usually for targeted purposes. Those include Kansas Magazine, Southeast Kansas Living, Midwest Meetings Guidebook, and Johnson County Gazette, things like that, that are around us that will hopefully entice people to come and visit Fort Scott. Next thing is motor coach tours. And I think, as we all know, motor coach tours are down across the United States. Even before COVID, the numbers were down, and they took quite a nosedive. They've come back some. And, of course, we still promote to those targeted operators. Our membership in Tour Kansas, that's the motor coach arm of the State Tourism Organization, allows us to promote Fort Scott to a variety of bus tour operators and keeps us top of mind with them. We also utilize the services of a company called Red Hot Groups. They partner with destinations and attractions, and they market on a national level for the most part to the American Bus Association, Heritage Bank Clubs, National Travel Association, faith-based groups, and others. In 2022, we marketed Fort Scott to 3,900 of their contacts. So we're busy promoting in that way. In outdoor advertising and signage replacement, do want to make mention of this. The new walking tour signage, 20 of those signs just went up on Monday, thanks to our Fort Scott Public Works Department for helping get those done. I'd called Tom, I don't know, a week or two ago, and we were talking about some other signage opportunities, and he mentioned that they really need to get those out. So he got right on that. But thanks to them and Lead Bourbon County for their assistance in making that project a reality. So that's fantastic. Also asked Tom to order new trolley signage, and I don't know the status of that, but hopefully they'll be arriving soon, and we'll be able to get those up. I believe there's 5 or 6 of those that, matter of fact, I think I showed you back during the summer. They're so faded out, some of them, you can't even tell what it is. And matter of fact, the photo I showed you, I believe, was on US 69 highway about 3rd Street. So those are in dire need of being replaced. So we're on that. Also spoke with KDOT about replacement of the National Cemetery sign on US 69. That is southbound at National. It's very faded, and Derek said that he would have his guys look into that. Hopefully, we'll be getting one of those soon. In 2023, we need to take a look at, and this really is part of the marketing plan, but I wanted to make mention of it, that we have a billboard southbound on US 69. I can't tell you how many miles out of town it is, just a few, but it's in 5.5. Thank you, Commissioner. That it needs to be replaced, the face of that.
It needs to be lit too.
Yeah. Lindsay and I talked about it. Yeah. Have it lit up. So that's something that we're going to look at hopefully early in 2023. Another project we're excited about is the addition of Visit Fort Scott QR code signs. Brad and I have walked around some and looked at potential locations to have those. Essentially, it's a welcome visitors to Fort Scott with a QR code that takes them back to visitfortscott.com. So that just makes things easier for visitors once they get here. Wayfinding signage, I know I've mentioned this before. It would greatly benefit the city, showcasing various locations where things are located. Gun park signs are faded, and there really are very few signs for camping at Gun Park, Woodland Hills Golf Course, tennis courts, and of course those signs can also direct folks to City Hall and libraries and county offices and so on and so forth. In talking to other communities, ranges anywhere from $50,000 to $90,000. That's of course not in the tourism budget, but if we happen to find that money somewhere or grant, I'll keep you apprised of that. Some other items that I wanted to make sure you're updated on. Of course, we had the spring mud run, then we added another mud run to the fall. Hopefully those will be annual events. That brings in about 500 folks on average, I think. We've just had 2 of them, but that's what it appears to be. So we're excited about that. Kirk Sharp and our committee, we were awarded the Kansas Museums Association Conference in 2024. So very excited about that. That should bring a lot of folks here to town and staying with us, and getting to see Fort Scott. Also combined, kind of a combined promotion of the 1st Kansas Colored Infantry Regiment, Gordon Parks, Professor Hawkins, and Captain Matthews to promote those undertold stories together of African American heritage and progressive African American leaders and events in the Fort Scott area. So that's been in our rotation to promote that on social media. By the way, a note here, of course, that was the first unit of black soldiers in the Civil War, and it's been the subject of a mural at the State House. It's actually been proposed for 23 years, and it's not passed. Now, state law called for that, I guess, since 2000, but delays brought on by capital renovations and a lack of funding have run that into some technical hurdles, I guess, that can only be fixed through some new legislation. So I would highly encourage each of you, contact our legislators, inquire about where that is in the pipeline and what needs to be done so that we can honor these brave soldiers that fought for their own freedom that started right here in Fort Scott, Kansas. We also continue to send quarterly LaRoche Baseball Complex invitations, emails to over 100 prospective and collegiate traveling baseball teams, and always looking for new event opportunities for that. Doug Guns and I, with input from some of our local hoteliers, created a Woodland Hills Golf Course stay and play package. And we have some technical hurdles to get over in talking to our IT folks, but hopefully we'll get those solved and probably get that out and promote that in the spring. This really isn't the time to start pushing that anyway, but hopefully we have that out. And one of the last things I have, gravel grinding is taken off across the state of Kansas. I've tried to be a part of that and being on all those meetings, and we need to finalize some trails. Essentially, gravel grinding is just noting where your route is. It's not a lot of money to the community. It's just designating those and then telling folks that are interested where those are. Here's the good news. We've been talking about a website statewide, and that looks like it's going to be coming to a fruition and launch in March of this year. So excited about that, and the possibilities of bringing more folks to Fort Scott and Bourbon County. So last thing on my list is as for our major component, digital media. We continue to post a lot of local content and do some geofencing, mainly within about a 200-mile radius of Fort Scott on social media to grow that. We continue regular website updates. We've grown on Facebook, and I'll let somebody else tell you about that. Revitalized our Instagram presence and added YouTube as another Visit Fort Scott media outlet. So we continue to work with Rachel French and the group at My One Stop on our digital media content. And that's really to increase our consumer engagement, get more folks involved with what we're doing, and hopefully that turns into visits to our area. So Rachel can go into more detail about that. Rachel?
Thank you, Jackson.
Yes, ma'am.
I am Rachel French. I'm the president of My One Stop. If you don't know me, I think I know the majority of you, but I'm really excited to be here tonight with Jackson. One, thank you so much for shopping local when it comes to your marketing needs. That does not go unnoticed by us, and we really greatly appreciate that. So we're actually, I'll give you a little spiel of who we are and what we do. We are a WK Holdings company, and we're actually 17 years old. So My One Stop is not a new company, and we represent all of the WK Holdings brands, and then we also have other local customers, including the tourism department. First off, so Jackson talked about QR codes. Any questions on those? I will tell you, they're great. They're a low-cost option, and you are going to get great analytics and a great return on those. So, and I will tell you, I have used, oh gosh, I'm going on my 17th year with the company. We've used QR codes pretty much that entire time. I've never had a problem with anyone ever defacing them or changing them or anything like that. That's not been an issue at all. So we're excited about that. One thing that Jackson kind of talked about was just Facebook. So that was really one of those things that I tell you guys, social media, it's where people typically go the first stop when they're looking to travel somewhere. So as of September 2022, Facebook is the most popular social media outlet. So I know there's been some talk about maybe doing other things, but Facebook, I will tell you, for your demographic, which if you're wondering, is women that are 35 to 54. So I'm seeing Katie kind of chuckle or whatever. They're right in my age range. Maybe some of your guys' too. But anyway, so that is your audience age range. I will tell you, since we took over I guess it was August, in July of 2022, I ran a kind of benchmark audit report to see where you were. And as of November 21st, we have taken your organic reach. Now, organic means you're not paying for that. Those are the people that you reach organically. You were at 33,000, and you are now at over 320,000. So you have increased 177.7%. I know, and I'm freezing in here. I'm sorry, I think it's cold. So yes, guys, you're not paying for that. That is huge. I will say, I will attribute that to good content. That's what people look for. That's what they want to share, and that's what we've done. So you guys might be wondering where you fell on the audience. It's all ladies. I'm here to tell you your Facebook page is all ladies. So the guys, it's 74.8% women to 25.2% men. So I know a lot of you are married. Your wife probably is the one that decides generally where you're going to go. And that's kind of what we see. Tim's like, nope. So,
You're the outlier.
and that's okay. And, the main thing is people just want to be educated. They're going to go to social media, whether it's Facebook, whether it's Instagram, and they want to look and see what there is to do in your town. And so that's what we've actually given them. Your page has gained 248 likes. But the main thing that we wanted to do that I told Jackson, you've got to create consistency. That's the social media game. You have to be consistent. You have to have a plan, and then you have to implement that plan. So our main goals that we identified once we knew who our target audience was to build awareness. And so we had to step back, and even though we may have talked about things before, we had to talk about them again. Share local history and landmarks. So that was another big thing that we've done. Encourage people to visit, and then give opportunities for people to share when they visit. So especially for, I'd say, women in their 30s, early 40s, they want to share everything that they're doing. And so we need to educate them on how they can share when they're in Fort Scott. After we decided those different things, we needed to set up our content pillars. And once again, this is consistency. So Jackson and Suzette and I went through, and we have narrowed it down to the history, including the town itself, the National Historic Site, Gordon Parks, all of those different things. I will say, you've made me really want to do a colored infantry mural. So, side note on that. And then downtown landmarks, including current and new businesses, because you're getting, a few of those, as well as different Gun Park, Lake Fort Scott, different events, and then living local and Fort Scott giving back. Because once again, people, when I heard it just the other day, I have another customer that's from Tennessee. He said that he came here because he builds log cabins. But he told me, he's like, this is the nicest town with the nicest people. He's like, I really want to buy a house here just because you guys are so friendly. And he's like, you've got a great little town. So we just want to show people, in case they are thinking about moving to Fort Scott, how great it is. So that's where we stand on that. We are also working on a video for you. So that's exciting. Our videographer got influenza A, and so it's not quite done. But we will send you the link. I'll let Jackson distribute that to you. And then we also have a mural video, and we're going to do some final edits on that. And then once that's done, we'll share that with you too. Any questions?
Yeah, Jackson going to voice these over again too?
So here's the thing. Most people don't listen with the sound on. So you can have a voiceover, but we still need to have captions.
If they don't listen with the sound on, you can go ahead and let him do the voiceover.
He does have a great radio voice. I'll give him that.
He has a face for radio.
Jackson.
On your digital advertising,
Yes.
I mean, do you do geofencing or impressions in any?
So here's what I'll tell you. I don't pay for advertising. Like in all of our things that we do, we try and do them organically. So that's something that you guys can do. It's not a service that I necessarily will do for you.
I don't know if it does it. Well, non-paid, can you get click-through rates and stuff like that on
Yes. Yes.
And so you track click-through rates. And
So you can see
I
how many
understand.
comments, you can see how many times it was shared.
how long they stay
All,
on the
yes,
page,
all of, maybe not how long they stay on the page,
what page you
but
track.
which page, which post. I will tell you one
I
of
know
the
there's
posts,
usually a bounce rate that will tell, hey, I went there and all of a sudden
and then I clicked
5
off or
seconds
something.
later,
Yeah.
you know, and so
Yeah. And here's the thing. I mean, do you need paid advertising? Yes, because you don't necessarily have a marketing budget that some other people have. And so I will say, yes, you probably do need to spend some money on ads. But anytime I can teach Jackson how to get there organically, you will be better off. Yeah. This, I mean, honestly, guys, this is a big deal for us to be trusted, because each member of my team is from here or from a little town. And so this has been quite the project for them. And you are all welcome to stop by my office anytime. We're at 7 South National. We'd love to have you. But we are we're just a very close knit team, and this has been one of our favorite projects. So thank you for
I
that.
will say you can see the passion being local, so I think that helps. So
Oh
you
yeah,
can
that's
see-
what I told Jackson. I was like, when Kate started talking to us about it, I mean, we're thrilled that you chose us because we love Fort Scott in a way that another agency you'd have to educate them on, and we really mean it. So we thank you for that.
No, thank you, and Jackson, thank you. Didn't mean to bust your
Yeah.
chops.
No, Jackson and
I know
Suzette are wonderful.
He's doing a great job.
Yes.
And again, you said from 30,000 to 300,000.
Yes, Matthew. Let's revisit that.
That is
So
awesome.
as of July, the end of July of 2022, your organic, non-paid, reach was 33,000. At the end of November, you were at 320,061.
That is
A
awesome.
growth of 177.7.
Congratulations, guys. That is
Thank
something to be proud of
That's
right
awesome.
there.
Thank you. Any questions?
I have one more on the trolley. I know. Do we do any paid advertising on that for businesses if they want to advertise? Because I know I was on the trolley committee 5 years ago when they first got it, and they're going to generate funds, and that was approached, and some people thought it looked tacky, so didn't do it. So the next thing you know, the whole committee disbanded, and the city just got a loan and bought the trolley on a loan.
Uh-huh.
And so my mom lives down in Savannah, and it's a highly tourist town, and a lot of theirs has paid advertising on there. It looks nice, it looks clean, and so I didn't know if that's anything we've ever thought about advertising inside or outside the trolley to generate revenue.
You know, that's something that we've never really considered, but it's worth looking into and discussing. Yeah. Any other questions? It's been a good year for tourism, and we hope that continues and for many years to come. So, thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda is the public.
Well, and just one note, Madam Mayor. I mean, this was supposed to be also economic development, but that's not going to take place this evening. It's on the agenda. The public got the agenda. So before we skip on, just to know that Jackson and Rachel's portion is the only
Yes.
piece that people are going to hear this evening.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it'll be at the next meeting.
Yes, it will be.
Okay.
So I think there was prior other commitments, but I think it'll be at the next.
We'll have that on there. Next is the public hearing for properties for condemnment. Thomas?
Yep.
Okay.
We'll have individual public.
Yes, we're gonna go through individually.
I'll make the motion to open the public hearing.
Second.
For 410 South Mark.
Well, the public hearing will be over all
All of them.
Then we'll close it, then we'll go through
Okay,
and then vote.
okay. That's fine.
So, Josh Jones?
Yes.
Tim Van Hookey?
Yes.
Edwin Walhall?
Yes.
Matthew Wells?
Yes.
And Katie Harrington.
Yes.
And if you don't mind, I think if we have anyone have the public speak first, that way if there's some here on not all of it, we don't have to have Thomas go on
That's fine.
for 20, 30 minutes on. And so is there anyone here from the public speaking on any of these houses?
Do you know if Thomas?
No.
No, we just gotta
Oh,
open
this
and close
is
it.
for
That
the
way we
public.
can public hearing part. 410 South Margrave, 1718 East Oak, 1225 East Elm, 102 South Horton, 102 South Osborne, 1221 South Main, 523 South Heilman, and then 1107 West 6th Street.
Yes, ma'am.
If you don't mind to come up and state your name, and that's what the public hearing's for. That way individuals can come up and express anything.
Sally Hutchins. I own the Ice House. There was a little bit of interest a month or two ago of people thinking, well, maybe we could do something with it, but that never came to anything. But and we actually put out feelers to different construction companies to tear it down, and nobody was brave enough to give us even a bid. So
Okay.
I don't know what to do with it. It's huge, a lot of brick.
So you looked at even tearing it down as well? You
Yes.
sought bids.
Yeah.
So you're not here to try to save it or anything? You just, at this point,
No, I
you're
just
out
want to
of
know what.
options. and-
Yeah, yeah.
The way that the resolutions work on this is that that the parties have 10 days to make the improvements before we actually move to or accept the bids to move forward to tear it down. So
But you reached out to people also to rehab it and haven't got any good.
No,
So, okay.
there's a little bit of interest from Midwest, whatever it's called, but they didn't follow through on that either. So just
And
I'm here to find out what you're going to do with it.
have you looked at the possibility of donating it to the land bank?
I didn't get very positive feedback,
Okay.
even from that. So,
Who did you talk to at the land bank?
Tom Russell,
He's not
and-
part of the land
He's
bank.
not part of the land
Okay, but
bank.
who's the?
We have a special committee with
Craig Campbell. would be
Craig
the-
Campbell would be
Craig
the
Campbell,
person.
yes, I did talk to him, and he was. That's been 3 weeks ago or more probably, and he was gonna hunt around seeing if he could find any interest, but I haven't heard back from him.
Okay, I'll reach out to Craig on.
Hey, Thomas, on the ice house, your opinion on that going to land bank, if it could be saved, or if you think it's past that, or?
I think it is probably savable, but having the ability to do it, it's not going to be cheap.
Yeah.
The roof on it is bad. I was by there the other day, a couple of weeks back. One of the windstorms that we had. I actually picked up 2 pieces of metal roofing that were laying out in the street on Short Street. But so I mean, this means there's 2 more large holes up on the roof.
And you said you had 2 people reach out about possibly saving it, and their thoughts was it's too big of a job to save as well.
Well, they didn't pursue it, so
Didn't
I'm
pursue it.
guessing that's.
And
what-
so, if I may ask, did you have stipulations on a price, or were you just giving it to them? So I'm just trying to ask if they were factoring in money, what they were factoring in. So when you talked to them, was it basically, here you go, take it over, and you can fix it up, or?
I think at the time I did have it listed. I would have taken $6,000 for it.
Okay, so it wasn't listed
But
for very much.
No. But yeah, at the moment, whoever wants it, please take it.
What I'd suggest is, depending on what we decide here this evening, again, I'll reach out to Craig Campbell, and there's simple. If you're the owner and have title on it, it's a matter of signing it over, and then it's not your problem, your worry anymore.
Okay. It is in a trust, which includes a couple of my kids, so we need 3 signatures. But
Okay, I'll get in touch with Craig.
okay, thank you.
What was the address on that one?
1107
West
Sixth
Sixth.
Thank you.
It's the very last one on our list, Lisa.
Okay, thank you.
Thomas, did you want to speak on what house are they here about?
523.
Howman. Did you want to speak on that? Or Thomas, maybe if you want to go ahead and speak on it.
Yeah, I can. I didn't know if he'd expressed some concerns. I just wanted.
If you don't mind, come to the mic and state your name.
My name is Joseph Lauder.
Hold on 1 second. Did you get his name, Lisa?
No.
Speak into the mic if you don't mind.
My name is Joseph Lauder. I live at 523 South Highland Street here in Fort Scott, Kansas. how I feel about the house is I do believe that it is savable. Not much of the main structure had burned, you know, in the fire. If we could just maybe possibly, you know, get just a little bit more time, you know, right now it's the holidays and things are just kind of, you know, times are hard right now, you know, due to the holidays and everything like that. But if we could just maybe get a little bit more time to maybe, you know, try to get the funding so that way we can rebuild the home. I would greatly appreciate that, y'all.
Do you own the house or do you rent the house?
We own the house.
Thomas, can you speak a little bit about that? The house.
Yeah, so the house was I had a fire, it was in July. But I was trying to find it.
Is this house currently?
It was the exact same date that
The Catholic,
the Catholic Church
caught fire.
Okay.
At that time, they'd gone through. They tried to tarp it up some and try and seal it up as best they could. We've had little to no, work done to the structure to try to bring it back. It's going to need a lot. Could it be saved? I'm not going to tell you it can't. I can tell you it would likely be less expensive to take it down and build new. Just because of being the older structure that way, and the length of time getting a foundation under that with no issues is going to be one of the keys. And there are some current issues with the foundation. Again, not that it can't be brought back, but I personally believe that it would be less expense for them to try to have a new home built or a new residential modular brought in versus trying to come back through on that one, clean it up, and then build back to that structure. Bringing after it's been condemned this way, bringing it back before they can actually live in the home again, it would have to be brought back to meet all current code standards through the entire structure prior to access to it.
Based on kind of the review of it, property has a history of illicit activity, regular complaints, trash, random debris, scrap, not insured. A lot of the debris and scrap materials on the lot now were brought in after the fire. Barrier tape and red tags placed on the property have been removed multiple times.
Are you guys currently living in this?
No. Currently, as of right now, no.
Do you know anything about the information that we were gotten regarding illicit activity or barrier tape and red tags being removed?
Yeah, I mean, I guess the tags are, well, one of the tags was taken down, but it was replaced, you know.
But who took it down?
I did.
Okay, can you?
And honestly, and I did not know that. I was not supposed to remove that tag. Mr. Norman came by, and I was like, he just said, "Well, this is just for to keep them, to keep them out of there, you know." I mean, I didn't know. I mean.
What about the, there's been reports of several dangerous dogs on the property and then a couple of inoperable vehicles. Do you know anything about that?
Okay, the dogs, we do have a beware of dog sign posted up. The dogs are, you know, they've been chained up. It's not like they can, you know, reach out to the sidewalk or anything to hurt anybody, you know. A dog's a dog, you know. It's gonna protect its, you know, its territory, you know. I'm not saying, but my dogs are not vicious, you know.
But you
And
don't.
I'm not saying that they
yeah.
are. I was just,
Right.
these are things that have been brought to my attention, so I just wanted to ask you about them.
So do you go by daily to check on them? How often do you get over there since you don't live at the current?
Well, I mean, daily. but the dogs are not moved.
Thomas, have there ever been citations on the property prior to the fire?
I don't know, not that I have given. I will say, due to a lot of the stuff in the rear of the yard, it was on my list to address items with them. But my workload has been such that I hadn't had an opportunity to.
Okay, well, I mean, on the summary that we were provided, it talked about regular complaints about trash. Property has a long history of regular complaints, which would lead me to believe that there's been other letters written that preceded the point that we're at right now.
As far as I know, that the only time that I ever remember a complaint as it being was whenever that hailstorm came through, and that's been some years ago. Other than that, there really hadn't been no complaints, sir. No letters that we've received so far.
Many of those were not directed towards the codes department, but rather through law enforcement.
Is this prior to the codes department? My question is, what's your time frame that you're looking at?
Well,
do you have an idea of kind of?
I would have to get the paperwork and fill it out. See if I can, if I could possibly, maybe get some assistance with this.
Do you know what programs you're going after for assistance?
It would be, I think it would be through the financial assistance program through the USDA, I think. The USDA or
What was, so they had some assistance from Ralph Carlson and his group that were trying to help them out. And I was told that they were unable to find any help or funding for you on that. Is that correct?
I'm not sure. I never received anything, stating that. Other than.
Another question, have you reached out to any contractors or any individuals to come out to give you an estimate of what this may cost you to do all these improvements?
Yeah, we have gotten hold of one contractor.
Do you have that paperwork with you?
No.
Travis, is there anything you're familiar with on this particular property regarding complaints and so on and so forth that you can add to the discussion? Of course, within realms of what you may or may not be able to say.
Probably not as far as the demolition of this structure.
Okay, I was just referencing the long history of illicit activity and regular complaints.
We've been to their house lots of times.
Okay, that's good enough. Thank you.
Which I understand that, and nothing against this, but I don't understand when you're talking about saving a house, what does police activity have to do with saving a house or not saving a house?
Well, I think what it has to do with it is there's other people that live in that neighborhood.
I understand, but this is on a tax roll, so basically you're saying if it can be saved or not, let's take it down because there's been activity there. We have a police department to take care of crime. Our codes department don't tear down houses that take care of crime. They tear down houses if it can't be saved. In my opinion, I hate taking stuff off tax rolls. I'm not saying it can be saved or not, but I hate to take something off a tax roll that it can be saved because the police have been called there 3 times in 3 months. So that's,
well, and that's why I was asking for clarification on this. Again, there are other families that live in that neighborhood, and when I see the words illicit activity, and there's children that live in that neighborhood, I'd respectfully like to get the opinion of our chief of police.
Our police department's to
I
handle
understand
illicit
that.
activity, not codes department.
But how long have you been the owners for?
31 years. years.
31 years. Okay, so it's not like maybe it was somebody before they were the owners or whatever is what I'm getting at.
Right. I don't want this guy to thinking you're tearing down the house because of.
No.
So I just want to make sure.
No,
we're
but
clear
there
on
are
that.
all factors can be weighed in the discussion.
I don't know if that's a factor to weigh a house if it can be saved on tearing down a house because the cops have been called there.
No, but what it can do is weigh into whether or not, trying to work with the homeowner, the confidence level of will they save the house?
In the past 31 years, have you done any work to the house?
Yes.
What improvements have you done to the house?
We've done landscaping. We put a new roof on there, the paint job, new doors.
When did you do that?
It's been about 7 years ago, I want to say, maybe. Yeah, we've updated the bathroom. Yeah, we painted the inside.
And since that fire, have you cleaned any of the outside?
Yes. Yes.
Removed, because it states that more stuff has been brought in.
I don't see how that's. Oh well, we had a dumpster brought in, and I personally myself, I hand shoveled all the debris from the fire, out of from the rubble into the dumpster and all that. But yeah, we've cleaned up quite a bit around there. We've removed all the tires, so on and so forth, and all that.
When was this pictures taken, Thomas?
They were taken. They're dated November 29th.
November 29th.
Okay. You stated you have tires removed, but in these pictures, there's a whole bunch of tires outside. So
okay, where at?
Next to a fence.
What was that resolution number again?
482022.
Referencing the last two pictures that
Yeah.
you gave us, Thomas.
I don't know if I don't think those tires are there anymore. To be honest with you.
Thomas, when was the last time you've been by the house?
It was on Friday.
Last Friday.
Yeah, I hadn't been back.
Yep. That's fine.
That's not bad.
But
this is the day that I decided to put this together for your.
You said you reached out to a contractor. What was their bid, their estimate to fix this?
We hadn't really talked. He really didn't give me a bid. He just said it's not that bad. Yeah, Jody Mitchell. He's the contractor that we reached out to.
Yeah, unfortunately, I believe that according to the way the city rules are written, because the house has been condemned, that now the house will have to be brought up to current codes before it's cleared again, which is a tremendous more amount of work than just keeping the house stable as it was. So where the house may be able to easily be repaired as it was, you'll need to take a serious look at the cost associated with bringing it up to the current codes. I just want you to go into this with eyes open, knowing what some of the current codes are. I want you to save the house because I think it's a beautiful old house, but I don't want you to go into it blindly thinking that you were just going to be able to get it back to the state that it was and it be passed, because the new codes that are enforced now are so much more rigid than the house was under before the condemning took place.
Wiring, plumbing. There's way electrical outlets.
Yeah.
Box.
Yeah, they're going to require the foundation to be repaired to match yeah, there's so much. I just want you to have a clear understanding of that before you move forward, because I don't want you to get blindsided by what they're going to tell you.
Thousands of dollars it's going to take.
Yeah.
New windows, because I've noticed that there's several. You'll have to get new windows and everything up to date. For that. Okay.
Do you have anything else you want to let us know about? I thank you. Thank you
Yes,
very much
thank
for
you for coming
coming.
up.
and-
Thank you very much.
Any other comments? Seeing none.
We move to close the public hearing.
Second.
Josh Jones,
Yes.
Tim Van Hooky,
Yes.
Edwin Wall,
Yes.
Matthew Wells,
Yes.
Katie Harrington.
Yes. Next, resolution 42-2022, repair removal of 410 South Margrave. It's unsafe, dangerous structure located at this location. 410 South Margrave.
Unless, Thomas, I mean, I'm very familiar with this house and where it is across from the school over there, but I mean, I
It's the
see it
first one.
every day. And it is gonna be a difficult one. Talk about 410 South Margrave, how it's sandwiching between those two houses over there. You got a
Yes.
family living on both sides of it.
Yes.
But, we can have discussion, but I would go ahead and move, to approve resolution 42-2022, directing the repair removal of structure at 410 South Margrave.
Second.
I would say that of all the houses that are presented to us this evening, this is the one house that I looked at that I believe would be the easiest to be saved. Just want to make sure everyone's aware of that with the lack of housing in this town that's affordable to people. This is one that if there was a possibility of the land bank being able to receive this house in its condition and get it to somebody who would be able to rehab it, this would be a house worth rehabbing as opposed to tearing it down.
Well, I know we've got a motion and a second.
Mhm.
Thomas, you've got the details that you provided to us here. Is there anything else you want to elaborate on? I mean,
My biggest concern on this one personally is literally just due to location,
Mhm.
and the condition of that property. There are, as you can see in many of the pictures, there are toys throughout the yard, and it is literally across the street from the elementary school playground. There's a lot of stuff there that's going to draw children's attention because, I mean, I know everybody in this room was obviously perfectly well-behaved little gentlemen and princesses when we were younger. Would have never done anything like that, but it draws attention to it. What's there is going to draw kids in. If you walk up to the along the north side of the building of the home, you can see in photo number, or it one's the photos number on number 6. That is a door into the basement. There's mattresses, there's toys, and it's standing wide open. There's toys scattered throughout the backyard, all the way down to the electric ride-on cars. Things that are going to draw children's attention.
I will say, I think this one needs tore down, but once again, kind of with the police, I never want to tear down a house because of stuff in the yard drawn to it, because that stuff can be moved, taken away.
Cleaned up, yeah.
And now if the house needs tore down, we tear it down, but the other stuff like that, I don't factor in tearing down a house.
Is the structure sound? I didn't read on there if it was not sound.
Is what?
Structure sound.
No, I don't. If you look on that following page on number 7, you can see where the back walls are gone, open access to animals, weather, on number 7.
And number 5, is that a picture of the garage or is that the house with the roof?
The number 5 was the picture of the shed in back. That one is dark and moldy and it's full,
So on number 4, is that a hole in the roof? It's hard to see number 4 with the debris. Is there a hole?
There are holes in that roof. They're not large, but as you can see, as part of the the roof line next to it there too. There's multiple different repairs and layers of shingles. And that roof line is pretty wavy.
Yeah,
So, meaning there's some failed.
And for a clear understanding, that section there that's labeled number 4 is a closed-in porch.
That is, yeah, that
It's
is.
actually not part of the house, and the little structure that's behind it, it looks like it was a lean-to that was possibly a garage at one time that got closed in.
It's a laundry room now.
Yeah, and is
It was.
again not part of the actual house.
Number 7, that is part of the house, right?
But is that structurally stable, that back part of the house there, the closed-in porch, number 4? Then, I mean, it looks like a wide open door right there to me. If that's not structurally stable, that's a concern.
Yes, that back door, that is the back door to the house. And I believe that was what the room in the area that Matt was talking about. That is, or was, a laundry room. Yep. An entry area for that. It was a later addition. I mean, you can see how the roof in that is already collapsed.
The house itself is the structure that I see would be easy to save and worth rehabbing. I agree that the accessory structures as well as the garage or the shed out back, those would probably need to be demoed. But the house itself, again, I didn't go inside it or anything.
This has been vacant for a long time.
Right.
And so, I mean, I'll just tell you my thought process is the amount to fix that. So to me, houses different neighborhoods, different things. And so the feasibility of someone spending money to upkeep that house in that location to me outweighs, and the fact that no one's here talking about it and it's been vacant. Man, I don't know the last time someone's lived there.
23rd,
Well,
29th.
to me, a couple of
Property
things that weigh in
taxes.
is number one, those other 2 houses next to it, you could almost hang out the window and touch it with a broomstick. The other one is, and I think Thomas mentioned this, it is right across the street from the grade school. And it's had a red tag on it for a long time. It's had problems for a long time. And I think every day that goes by that some curious child does not wander into that structure, and get hurt, we're extremely lucky that doesn't happen. And I also know for a fact, because I drive down that street every single day, that there's a family to the north side out of it with small children, and there's a family to the south side of it as well that are pretty tight against that structure.
Yes.
And if it does fail, as close as it is, it could potentially do damage to the structure to the north or to the south.
I think this is the one that, did you contact any family members of the owner, previous owner or owners?
This one,
of this?
we have for quite some time now been unable to make contact with this owner. Last that we had record for this gentleman, or last that I could find, was him going to prison. I don't know how long ago, or I don't know how long he was expected to be in there. I was told he was out, but then just chose to not come back to Fort Scott.
Do we have anyone with the city that gets with the county? I mean, how does this slip through all their tax sales when it's been almost 10
2013,
years?
yeah.
Taxes been paid.
I've got others that I've got listed here that go back to 2008, 2011.
And no taxes.
That have never had taxes paid on them.
I don't know if someone from city staff can reach out to Justin and ask, because I thought they were going in sequence and they were up to
3 years.
Because this is one that should have been on the tax sale, just in my eyes.
a long time ago.
Yeah.
I don't know what their regulations are on them. I was of the understanding that at some point they were required to make contact with an owner before they could do anything.
I can imagine the fees we've racked up mowing this in the last 9 years.
Well, actually, the yard's not that big. It's
Still $75.
there is no yard there.
There's not a whole lot of yard. Brush
No.
hog.
So, I mean, I think we had a motion and a
Motion
second
and a
on there.
second.
Does anyone else have any other questions or discussion?
Edwin, you have any questions or concerns, sir? You're so quiet.
Josh Jones,
Yes.
Tim Van Hooky,
Yes.
Edwin Wall,
Yes.
Matthew Wells,
Because of the structural integrity of the main portion of the 2-story house, I'm going to vote no on this one.
Katie Harrington.
I'm gonna vote yes. Next resolution is 43-2022. This property is at 1718 East Oak.
Just real quick, Thomas, any contact with the owners at all on this?
The owner, both listed owners
This one's
on
no
this
living
are
relatives.
deceased.
Mhm.
We were able to track down, I believe it was it's a daughter of the owners, and she had absolutely zero interest, to my understanding, because I wasn't the one who made the call, but my understanding is she said she wanted nothing to do with the town or with Fort Scott.
We're locked. Looks like the foundation's pretty bad on this one.
Foundation's bad, yeah.
Looks like the foundation's pretty bad on this.
The foundation's pretty rough. You can see in picture 2 where it's actually fallen out. You can see the tops of that stone there. What would be on your right side of the bag hanging out of it. That's moved about 3 inches forward out from underneath there. You can also see in photo number 4 the corner, the other corner on the front of the home there that's split and falling out completely. There's holes and foundations is compromised all the way around.
I'll make a motion to move forward with resolution 43-2022, repair removal 1718 East Oak.
Second.
Josh Jones,
Yes.
Tim Van Hooky,
Yes.
Edwin Wolof,
Yes.
Matthew Wells,
Yes.
Katie Harrington.
Yes. Next is resolution 44-2022. This is at 1225 East Elm.
Owner contact.
We've spoken with this with the gentleman that owns this property. Nice gentleman. Hates to see it go. Doesn't have the physical ability to do anything with it. Doesn't have the funding or financial ability to do any repairs. He, as I've been informed, is aware that that we intended to tear it down. And while he would like to keep it, realizes that there's not a lot of options with it. The back third of the house is already, completely collapsed.
Is that a tree growing in it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's that tree is actually it's outside the home, but it is
Outside,
literally
inside?
right outside the back door.
Because I was looking at 4 and 6, and that's why I was trying to.
Yeah. Yeah, that is outside the back door, but it is literally right up in the corner of that on that rear. Blocks the door, and the roots from that have broken up all the foundation of that back corner of the home. But what you see behind that edge of that tree is where the roof on that area is completely gone. The floors are gone.
So it's not just the overgrowth that's on there, but the overgrowth.
The overgrowth
in
is what
addition,
caused the
in
damage.
addition to the collapse of the structure
Yes.
itself.
Yes.
I didn't see a note on here about the foundation. What does the foundation look like?
Is it just that back corner? Is it throughout the house?
No, so the foundation around other areas of the home, like if you were just to take that back third of the house off, you would probably be okay. You'd still have some foundation repair work to do. They've done a it's like a repair at some point where they smeared over and they have just like a fascia covering, just a coating over the foundation underneath. So what you can see is okay, except for in that back area around that tree where it's broken it all up and out there. And Tim, is what you're saying with the overgrowth, what it is, the reason that was shown and highlighted is the simple fact that that's what's caused or allowed the water to get into there, because as those vines grow in, it destroys the shingles, the siding, and allows moisture and everything in. And so the extent of the damage that we can see from the exterior and in these photos is likely not all that's there.
Okay.
Yeah, on that east side, in photo number 7, you can see where the vines and all that are growing all up around that window. Those actually intrude into the home. You can see the vines where it's grown through the, around the windows. You can see them growing up inside on the other side of the window.
Well, I would move to approve Resolution 44-2022, directing repair removal of an alleged unsafe and dangerous structure located at 1225 East Elm.
Second.
Josh Jones?
Yes.
Tim Van Hookey?
Yes.
Edwin Wola?
Yes.
Matthew Wells?
Yes.
Katie Harrington?
Yes. Next is Resolution 45-2022. This is at 102 South Horton.
This home, I expect the owner to actually be taking down. We're submitting this one to you guys today, honestly, as a backup to that. She had plans to obtain the funding to have it torn down. Her family owns the rest of that area back in Happy Hollow. I don't think it's going to be an issue. And she promised me that she would have it down by mid-month this month. This really honestly just a backup if something were to fail on her attempt to do it. So she knows it's coming down either way. We just want to make sure that if she doesn't get it done as expected, that we have an option to secure that area.
Then I'll move we accept 45-2022.
To have it tore down before we send out the bid and spend money.
Well, I was going to
Do you have to
suggest
bid?
actually that give her a couple of weeks that we could just table item
You can do that. Or
item 4 until the December 20th meeting and get an update from Thomas at that time if we need to do that or not, because I'd hate for her to have it in process. And
She's just
able
wanting
do
to
it.
know if we're cheaper on doing it, if we can find a cheaper bid, correct?
Well, no, honestly, she said that she was going to have it done, that she didn't want us to have to get involved, but she understood if we did.
Yeah, we've had several
Okay.
folks that when it got to this point went
Tore it
ahead
down
and
themselves.
took it down themselves. I mean, those were just my thoughts of possibly. You think within 2 weeks she might have an idea of?
She knew the timeline that we were going to be presenting it for the demo today. I said what it was for me is she committed to having it down mid-month this month.
That's next week.
But if we were to send it out for bid and we get the bids back on the 20th and she didn't have it, then we would be able to move forward or approve that if need be.
Okay. Well, either way, the homeowners
She
understands it's got to come down.
Yes, she understands it's going to come down. She's been working on it little by little over the years. I don't know if it's probably more as it fell down around it. I mean, you can see the front, what was the front room or the patio area has fallen, and that was taken out. And then the back area that would be on the northwest corner, the entire room is gone. The roof on the back on the south side is collapsed. She knows it's kind of, I mean, if she doesn't tear it down, it's going to fall in on itself anyway. So,
okay. Well,
and her granddaughter is frequently playing in the area because when she's staying with her grandmother at the bottom of the hill there. So it is a priority for them as well. but she wanted to be allowed to get it taken down before we did,
Mhm.
because she didn't want the city to have to
Right.
get involved in what she saw as a personal issue.
And I see that as a
Yeah,
great
I
idea.
have a lot of respect
Yeah.
for that. That's why I had agreed
Sure.
to
Yeah.
allow her to do that.
Yeah, I just feel like while we're going out for bids on all these, we might as well include this one, just to have the
If we choose
paperwork
not-
done. If we choose not to, we don't do it.
and,
Right.
and let her then, but we have that,
Mhm.
that alternate option if.
Yes, sir.
you know.
All right, I move to approve resolution 45/2022, directing repair, removal, and alleged unsafe, dangerous structure located at 102 South Fortin.
Is that a second?
Are you seconding?
Matt made it.
Did you already do that?
Yes, I do. It's all right.
Boy, you're quick, even with that bum leg. All right, that's a second.
Josh Jones?
Yes.
Tim Van Hookey?
Yes.
Edwin Wolf?
Yes.
Matthew Wells?
Yes.
Katie Harrington?
Yes.
We talked about it so long, I forgot.
Next is resolution 46/2022. This is at 102 South Osborne.
This one is owned by the same family. This is, the owners,
Same family for what?
I'm sorry,
Same family.
it's the same family as the 102
Horton.
Horton. The mother, the grandmother, whatever, that lives in Happy Hollow there, she bought this, just bought it off of the tax sale. Not because she wanted to repair the home, not because she wanted to make sure that nobody else was going to come in there, and she wanted to get it cleaned out and secured. She as well has sent it out for bids, or has requested bids for demo. I believe that she was told that we could likely get it done cheaper. But
I have that
Wasn't
that kind of bothers me a little bit.
I agree.
So I think what we need to probably look at is probably adding on an administration fee or something to that, because it costs us time to send these out, Lisa to do it, Thomas to go view these. So I think in the future we need to look at adding some type of fee to add on to this, because the county gives us a break to help us out.
Mhm.
We don't need people risking buildings falling in on people because they might get it cheaper.
Right.
So
Would this person be willing to pay the demo or pay the city the difference of the demo?
I don't know. I mean, it's not a conversation that I've
Hmm.
had. I'm not aware of all the details of that other conversations. It wasn't me that had that one.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, she knows either way that she's going to be paying for it, whether she tears it down and pays for it,
Mhm.
or if we tear it down, gets the bill, and she's paying for it.
Okay.
So maybe in the future, it makes me think, is adding a fee. Maybe we just charge people what we don't include our discount in when it's added to their taxes. We actually charge the full amount of what the gate rate would be. So it's $40 a ton. When we tear down a house, on their assessments, we factor it in at the full rate. So there's no discount where the people can try to
You'd check
skirt
legally.
the system. Yeah.
We have checked legally.
Or we can add a fee for the difference on each one. So.
But don't we have to do that across the board? We can't just pick
Right.
and choose
Right.
who we have to give that to. It has to be across the board.
I'd say it's something we need to look at anyway.
Okay.
I got it.
Jeff,
Right.
write that on your list, sir.
I got it.
So I would move to approve resolution 46/2022, directing repair, remove an alleged unsafe and dangerous structure located at 102 South Osborne.
Second.
Matthew Wells?
Yes.
Edwin Wolf?
Yes.
Tim Van Hookey?
Yes.
Josh Jones?
Yes.
Katie Harrington?
Yes. Next is resolution 47/2022. This is at 1221 South Main Street.
This property, we had a fire at as well earlier this summer. I don't want to say amusing, but I actually had an appointment that day to meet with a resident or a renter that was going to be moving into this property to do an electrical inspection. And about 30 minutes before we were scheduled, I got called over from the fire department.
The garage had burnt down because of an electrical issue.
But surprisingly enough, this one, it wasn't due to an electrical issue. It actually started, the fire started in the garage. Or it's, that you can see is now a refrigerator. That's all that was left.
Mm-hmm.
But it had spread over to the house. There are holes in the roof. The electrical, it would all have to be replaced because the fuse box and all that was right inside that back door. It's gone. But it's pretty rough. It's pretty charred. And really right now, outside of just boarding it up, no way to secure the property. The listed property owner is deceased. All of our records show that her son lives in Arma, and I believe he does. I made contact with him one time, and he didn't really want to admit who he was, but then said, "Oh well, yeah, no, I don't want anything to do with it. Not mine. It's my mom's, and whatnot." I had to collect some other information. I went to reach back out to him, and the second time he told me that no, it wasn't. He wasn't even related to him. It was the wrong person, and it was just pretty evident that he had zero interest in getting involved in something that wasn't going to benefit him.
I'll make a motion to move forward with resolution 47-2022, repair removal of 1221 South Main.
Second.
Josh Jones?
Yes.
Tim Van Hookey?
Yes.
Edwin Woolhoff?
Yes.
Matthew Wells?
Yes.
Katie Harrington?
Yes. Next is the consideration resolution 48-2022. This is at 523 South Heilman.
In light of the fact that he at least showed up and asked us, I would motion that we give him at least 60 to 90 days.
You can include that in the resolution. Amend the resolution from the 10 days
Okay.
to 30 or 60 days in that resolution.
Okay.
And then that means that they have to have it. It's condemned. If it's not done, then you proceed to condemn. Then we would go out and take bids.
All right.
So,
Then
Matt, if I could,
yes. Go ahead.
Their contract with they said that she said she had looked at it. I didn't know that's who she was dealing with, but I've spoken with him on multiple occasions, and he's told me the same thing every time, that because he works with Ralph Carlson.
Okay.
And Ralph and his group were trying to get that funding. He said that they weren't able to get anything for them, and that it was going to cost them more, same as we did. It was going to cost them more to try to clean that one up and rebuild than to take it down and have a brand new structure brought in or built over the same lot. So, and you guys are, I'm not telling you what to do.
Right.
I really do believe that that's probably the best option.
Mm-hmm.
And if you were needing to get a loan to do so, they would at least have a structure that the bank would lend on. The current structure would have to be brought to significantly better standards before it would even be considered for lending to do the repairs and so on.
Yeah, but yes. So, in light of the fact that he did show up and he did, make the request, then I would move that resolution number 48-2022, directing the repair, removal of alleged unsafe, dangerous structure and accessory structure that we would vote yes on it with a 60-day extension
You need to have an
to show
amendment.
an
on-
amendment
You
of,
can do, you could vote.
On the amendment first.
Make a motion, yes.
For the
Make a
amendment,
motion on the amendment.
And then you vote on the ordinance altogether.
then I motion we amend it to
To
give them a
state.
60-day stay to see if they can get something done.
February. What's our first meeting in February?
And if I could ask this, I don't know
Yes,
if
sir.
this would be the right format, or place to this. If we're going to extend it out another 60 days, since we are a little over 5 months in on this one, could we at least ask that almost immediately they get it secured?
And cleaned up.
The back door and the back side of the house is going to be open, and we need to ensure that, but until they find out that nobody.
Right.
is- people
Would you
are
be
in and
comfortable?
out.
What time frame would you be comfortable with us putting on it for that? Or go ahead.
Would you be comfortable just tabling this till the next meeting? And then you can come back and say whether they secured it or cleaned up, and then we can vote either to demo or you then give them 60 days
Give
at
'em-
that time. That way, 2 weeks, they should be able to secure it and clean it up. Then we
Okay.
can vote on that. That way.
No,
that
no,
way if
yes.
They don't
Yes,
secure
yes.
it. No.
Yeah, because if it's not, we may just move forward with
Okay,
the removal.
Yes, I like that. Let's give them, but yes, I'd like to give them,
So
yes.
you need to make
So-
a motion to
Yes, we need a
table.
motion.
I'm
Okay.
sorry.
Yes.
Mayor.
it
So
is.
we'll make a motion to table this until the December 20th meeting.
Table item 7 under resolution 48-2022
Second.
until the December
Yeah.
20th meeting.
So Lisa, you need to strike out the amendments.
I'm changing everything.
Yep, yeah, strike that out.
Thank you, Josh. That's a good idea. I like that.
All we're doing is tabling the resolution 482022.
And
Until
then
December 20th.
will y'all communicate to the other gentleman to secure the doors and to try to get the property cleaned up and communicate that with Thomas, please and thank you.
Okay.
Carolyn here is the actual
Okay.
owner.
All right.
Joseph is her son.
Okay.
So we're voting on tabling this motion.
Yes.
And we have a second by Josh.
Yep.
Matthew Wells,
Yes.
Edwin Wolof,
Yes.
Tim Van Hookey.
Yes.
Josh Jones.
Yes.
Katie Harrington.
Yes. Next item.
On item 8, I know that's the ice house we talked about.
Next item is the resolution. Hold
yeah.
on one second, Tim. 49-2022.
Yeah.
This is the 1107 South West 6th Street.
Yep. And, I mean, we may need to table this one too, based on what the cost of that may be to remove, to see,
When's the next land bank meeting? Do you know?
yeah, it should be the 3rd week of December, Monday. We have to look at that, maybe involve, I'd like to table, I might want to table this one actually until our first meeting in January. So I'll move to table resolution 49-2022, directing the repair removal of unsafe dangerous structure at 1107 West 6th Street until our first meeting in January, the city commission's first meeting in January.
Second.
Is she still here?
No, she's here.
Okay.
I can tell you she's had two contractor bids on it.
For repair or removal?
For demo.
Yeah.
The first one came in at about 80,000, just under 80. The second one came in at 60, and he said he was hiring the guy that said he'd do it for 80.
Yeah.
Except for.
So, I mean, as an idea, that was, I had some concerns on what or how we would be able to fund that one anyway, that we would likely have to find some alternate funding, because either one of those two numbers are well in excess of our annual budget.
Absolutely. So we need to look at that,
Right.
and I'll get with Craig Campbell as well.
Yeah.
So we had a motion and a second.
Okay. Tim Van Hookey.
Yes.
Edwin Wolof,
Yes.
Josh Jones.
Yes.
Matthew Wells.
Yes.
Katie Harrington.
Yes. Next thing, go ahead,
I was
Josh.
saying thank you, Thomas. absolutely good. Thank you for your time this evening.
Thanks, Thomas. Next is new business financial reports, city
give
financial update.
I'll give that report. A state budget requires amendments to the original budget be published and adopted, where the entity believes it may surpass the budget it approved, and it can happen for a variety of reasons. And so it's normal that you look at your year-end amendments for various funds each year. We have anticipated. We need to make a public hearing for our December 20th meeting, which is in front of you. And the library front fund, this really is to adjust for a pass-through that goes through. The equipment reserve fund increases is needed for an unbudgeted carryover of the cash. The water utility is close, so we want to give us added, because you can't go over your budget, so it's just giving us a little cushion. And then there was some special projects on the sewer utility. You have the notice in front of you. I might note that the general fund is not anticipated to be amended, so we would entertain that you set a public hearing, which is in front of you, to amend the 2022 annual city budget.
Real quick on the library, since that's kind of a pass-through, can you explain how their expenditures were?
I think that the pass-through wasn't plugged in.
Okay, from the carryover from before?
From the previous things. And then, and so once you get that done, then I'd like to just talk, I can talk about.
Well, I'll go ahead and make a motion to set the budget hearing for amendment for December 20th, 2022, 6 p.m. at City Hall.
Second.
Josh Jones?
Yes.
Tim Van Hookey?
You can pass.
Pass.
Mm-hmm.
Edwin Wall?
Yes.
Matthew Wells?
Yes.
Katie Harrington?
Yes.
Then I'd like to make a little comment on the finances. First of all, what we would like to do, or plan to do, Ben plans to do, is one, and this is where I would request that you change your first meeting date. It's scheduled for January the 3rd, and if you could change that to January 10th, because of timing, it gives us a little, we're off on the 2nd because of a holiday, and if you could change that to January 10th. But the purpose of that meeting will be for you all to review all your capital improvement items, to review all of those with the department director, so we establish some priorities on the CIP for the upcoming budget, to make an amendment on the 2023 budget. And then at the next meeting, having done that on the 10th, the next meeting we would have a cash flow analysis to see where we're at. That's what's anticipated in January. So, but the January 3rd meeting is just too much. It's too short, and we've got we've got 5 weeks in January. So
Can't snap your fingers and have all that done.
no, well, on
end
the
of the year?
priorities, and then to get the bills and all of that. So
would it be better to have a special meeting and have 2 meetings back to back? I mean, do you think the CIP list is going to take up a lot of time? I see there could be a lot of discussion, and I hate to have everything on one meeting. And I don't know if it's better to have 2 meetings back to back or have a
Work
5-hour
session.
meeting or whatever. So I don't know what everyone thinks.
I'm fine with 2 meetings.
well, we may have we might have a back to back on the other one, but just to get the bills in and stuff. But we would still request that you change that first meeting to the 10th.
How about just adding a meeting in?
And then we may,
I'm fine. It's other commissioners also. If we have back-to-back meetings,
I mean, back-to-back same days or back-to-back weeks?
weeks.
Okay, I would work best for me personally if the following week's meeting was on a Monday or Friday. I personally am out of town a pretty
Yeah.
good chunk of the middle part of the week.
of which week? I'm sorry, the
I think
10th.
every week.
Every week.
Tuesday through Thursdays, he's usually out, so he knows set commission meetings to his schedule, so.
Yeah, I mean, I set my schedule
Yeah,
for
I
this
understand.
commission meeting now, but,
Understood.
so if you were gonna do a back-to-back week, like let's say we had a regular meeting on a Tuesday and we were gonna have one next week, I would prefer that it be a Monday or a Friday.
The second meeting, the other meeting.
The 16th is Martin Luther King.
So you're saying
January.
even the January 3rd meeting is gonna be tough to get
Oh.
the bills paid, is what you're saying?
So
You're looking at the 9th or the 13th?
how about we do the 10th and the 24th? Would that?
We can do, well, they're still all on Tuesday.
I would just,
Right. If we did the 10th and the 24th.
Yeah, if those are the only two we're doing at this point, now I can make that work.
Because right now it's the 3rd and
Yeah.
17th.
Yeah,
If you could make it the 10th and 24th, that would be great.
yeah, that's fine.
So I would entertain
so I'll make a motion to change the January meetings to January, what was it?
10th and 24th.
Yes.
At 6 p.m.
Second.
Thank you.
Matthew Wallace,
Yes.
Tim Van Hookey.
Yes.
Josh Jones.
Yes.
Edwin Wall.
Yes.
Katie Harrington.
Yes. All right, next item on the agenda is salary wage ordinance update for 2023. Brad?
Yes. What, with the 3% increase projected for January, what I did was took the old ordinance and added the 3% onto the starting wage, left the maximum hourly rate or salary the same, and I would like for you to look at that to entertain a motion.
So then we're just going 3% across the board.
It's a merit increase.
Okay,
Minimum.
but I mean,
Yeah.
every employee is getting
No,
3%.
this is the start.
This is just
This
the
is the
Start.
starting wage.
Okay,
Yes.
okay.
Which I mean, you talk about this 3%, and I was kind of for it. And as I thought about it, I think our starting wages need to raise,
Mhm.
but I don't want to raise it 3% every year because then it penalizes.
Yeah.
If I start
Yeah.
this year, and I wasn't even thinking today, but if I start this year, make it 3%, so the guy starting next year is gonna make the same amount of money as me starting a year later. But I do think our starting wages need raised. So, I mean, I'm good with it. I'm good with it this year.
That's what you've been approved. Sometime you may
Mm-hmm.
need a salary survey, is your point. I mean,
Right, yes.
sometimes,
Yes.
sometimes, there's different ways of doing it.
And the only thing that makes people mad, I think the salary positions, I was fine with keeping them at the regular, not the 3%, but.
And you have already budgeted this.
Brad, I have a question for you though on one of
Yes.
these. So the firefighter, paramedic, you also
Mhm.
have them down here as EMS paramedic RN on the old one. Which one do we go off of for those paramedics?
EMS was actually EMS. We no longer do EMS.
Okay.
So
These
we
are
took them
paramedics
off.
that are firefighters
Yes.
also,
Yes.
dual certified.
Yes.
Okay.
EMS went to county.
I'm just clarifying that
Yeah.
way we know which one we're going off of.
I'll make a motion to approve the salary wage ordinance update for 2023.
Yeah, I'll second that, but I was talking with Jeff, and I know we brought it up in other meetings. I'd really like to find a way going forward. I know these are just the salary minimums and maxes we're looking at, but I'd really like us to revisit
other opportunities to really recognize the strongest performers that we have within the city.
Or strong candidates that come here even.
Or, yeah, paid for performance. You know, to me, a lot of times, I know if you, and I know municipalities it's that way, but to me, if we have an exceptional person, and I'm not saying anybody calling out anybody on the city staff is not doing a good job, but if you have your exceptional performers and you have someone that maybe doesn't really, this isn't their life vocation they want, you know, if it gets to a point where we're awarding everybody the same percentage, where's the incentive for our exceptional performers? And we do have some exceptional performers. That's
And
all I got to add.
Tim and I talked about this. Really, this is, I would call it really a cost of living adjustment is what this is.
Yep.
And then you can look at a variety of things. And Josh, your point, a lot of times just cross, you know, it depends on what you're trying to do, but there's a variety of things we could look at, as Tim has talked about, you know, teams or saving money or, you know, a variety of things to be rewarded for.
Yeah, I would love to see an incentive program out there, since the folks that are doing the work out there in the field know what we're doing and has the suggestions on how to correct stuff. For us to come up with some type of an incentive program, for instance, if an employee finds a way to get from point A to point B without compromising quality, and it's going to save the city $50,000 a year on that process, a percentage of that should be the incentive award to the employee
to save us money
for doing the job better. Even if they get $5,000, there's $45,000 the city is saving, because they know what the work is that's being done out there.
And how would you budget that?
I would say we just budget, you know, we'd have to figure it out at the end of the year. It'd make it tough. I mean, you'd have to cap
You'd have
it.
to have a
Yeah, well, I mean, it is capped. And we had a similar program. You know, other municipalities have similar programs, and I'm not saying we want to flip the switch on this right away, but talking to Jeff, I'd like to look into it to see how other folks are doing it.
Yeah, I mean, I think even starting small and say, hey, you saved us a couple $1,000. Here's a $50 gift card or a $100 gift card. We can allocate.
It's a pool. That's one way you can do it. You can budget for the pool. I've also seen it. And what you're getting at, particularly on the financial end, if you know, you don't want a situation where go spend all your money so you get cut next time. But if you have a mechanism, if the employees, and you and I talked about this, where they save money as a team, you know, then there's a variety of ways. Sometimes additional
Well, and it could be awarded the following year as well.
Yeah, it could be.
Because then you could budget it.
We could wait till the end of the year and see how many we got.
Larry, the cable guy, said that
Brad, how
some
many?
little girl told him, my mom said the company's going to give him $100 if anybody can tell him how to save money.
How many
He
do we
told
have
the little
for
girl back,
max?
tell his mom, tell him to change the price to $50.
But it takes a lot of study. The other thing is you have to look at your salaries and what you're trying to do, which is a salary, sometimes a salary survey to see what's your competition. That's another thing.
How many are on that max level? Do we have very many of those?
No.
Okay.
Very few. Very, very few.
Okay.
And that's what happens. That's why you have to look at it periodically, because you get up to the max and then you're cut off.
I will say I agree with Tim on the across the board raises. However, 3%, it almost has to be across the board, because if someone doesn't deserve a 3% raise in inflation like this, they probably don't need to be working.
Well, and that's what I've told the managers. If we hold back a 3% raise to somebody that's making $15 an hour, we've done a poor job, because we probably should have already let them go. Because it's an insult if you don't give a 3% raise for somebody making that.
Right.
Because bread has gone up a lot more than 3%.
How often do we do evaluations and wage increases?
For the first 90 days, we do that. That is something that I brought in because we really never did that. And, you know, 90 days is your make or break. You can determine pretty much if somebody's going to make it or not make it, and have that initiative to go forward. And then we look at, you know, throughout the year, You know, are they, you know, we try to start people out at a decent wage where they can,
Grow.
that'll stay with us.
Okay.
And I think we've done a really good job with that. And with the people that are doing a good job, we will bump them up.
I think we had a
Motion and a
motion
We have
second.
a
and a
motion and a
second.
second. Ready? Josh Jones,
Yes.
Tim Van Hookey,
Yes.
Edwin Woolhoff, Matthew Wells,
Yes.
Katie Harrington.
Yes. You are going to publish this, correct, Lisa, with the correct dates on the bottom of it.
The new ordinance one?
Yeah.
Yes.
So I won't sign it tonight till that's corrected.
Oh, okay.
It all it has is question marks there.
Yeah, I'll send her the file unless you had, did I already send it to you?
No, I just
Okay, I'll send you the file
Okay.
so you can put the
Correct
new
days
ordinance,
and stuff, and then
the new ordinance
yeah.
name and number.
Voted to put you in charge of porta potty cleaning while you were gone.
Yes.
Leaving, huh?
Next item is employee member benefit program for 2023.
This is the program that we started last year with the members to give them a little bit of extra incentive to become City of Fort Scott members. I wanted to bring it forward again this year just to make sure you were still good with us continuing to offer it in 2023.
How many individuals actually took advantage of this program?
The golf
employees?
membership was probably the most. I would say I've heard numbers from 25 to 30.
Okay.
Aquatic Center was second, but it wasn't very 12 to 15, and then it just went. We did have some shelter house rentals. That was probably one of the better ones. They liked that.
I think it's something great that we can offer to our employees as the city. So
It is. The only thing, and I was a big proponent of this when it started, the only thing I think we need to look at is the golf membership.
I agree.
From the family to a single, just because of some of the things that have arose from it and how many people play out there. And it's becoming, I mean, there's sometimes 8, 12 people on a hole, and there's a lot of people, up, you know,
Is it
pace of play.
Kind of like the business one that you're proposed, group membership for businesses. Do you want it like that, where
Well, I don't think I
card
wanted to
holders?
charge them, but I think it might be a benefit
how
to.
many can use that?
I would just say I would allow to do the single, and then if they want to pay the difference between the family and the single, they can pay that.
Yep.
And that's my only thing is I've had, and I don't golf that much, hardly at all, but I've had probably from people that golf every day to people who only golf there once or twice a year saying, you know, and this has been a lot of concerns. Like I said, I was one of the big proponents for this, and we were going to reevaluate it at this point. And I really think after talking to everything, we need to drop that down to single membership.
Are we sure that the increased play is brought about by the families of the employees, or?
I see a lot more youngsters out there with, and I think it's great that kids learn how to play golf. It's a good sport, but I play quite a few weekends out there, and it can get a little bit frustrating. I do think it's a great benefit, and I don't think the difference between the family membership and the single membership is that much. If someone's really interested, I think that would still be an attractive offer.
I don't know, and I'm not saying that's it. I don't even know how people use the family. It might not be hardly any, but I think with as I've heard Doug Guns talk, the rising price of chemicals and stuff like that, just everything factored in. I just think the best thing for the city is to offer that as a single with a difference in price, because that is, you know, and it's done a lot better over the last few years, but that's for a long time that was a big tax burden on citizens. I still want to offer it to our employees because it's a good incentive, but I just think the single is the best route to go on that. So I would make the motion to keep this benefit program, but change it to a free single golf membership, and they can pay the difference between that and the family if they want to move up to the family membership, and keep everything else the same.
I would second that.
Matthew Wells,
Yes.
Edwin Woolhoff,
Yes.
Tim Van Hookey,
Yes.
Josh Jones,
Yes.
Katie Harrington.
Just because this is a family-oriented facility, I think if we're going to do it for the family for the aquatic center, I think we need to do it family just straight across the board. So I'm going to vote no. Reports.
Mine. I'm next.
You're next. Sir.
One is I'd like to again welcome Edwin and we're going to providing him some information so that it's tough to walk on, as many of you know, to walk on. And I thought we would explore a city tour, you know, from the standpoint that I'm used to that for new council people. Then the other items I just wanted to comment. One is I'm able to find the past water and sewer master plans from the engineer, and so I need to get back with him, but he can provide that. The other thing is based on our meeting at the city county commission meeting, there's a lot of questions on the airport, and I think it would be advantageous that we have a meeting, a study session, something with our engineer on this project that's coming up. I was able to understand it better, but there's a contract coming up about them continuing with that overlay project. And I can talk, I know Matt had a question on that. I can talk to you more about what I found out. But I think just because we have new people and it's an economic development situation in the county, you know, the road and everything and I told the engineer who's from Pittsburgh, I guess he met with you one time, did he not, in April? But it would be good that we have a study session of all the players to hear and understand before we proceed with that project.
I've had a couple other people reach out about a couple other questions about the airport since we broached this subject. Things like the hose on the gas tank is just a little too short.
That was the other thing.
Okay.
The other thing is airport, and I have a little bit of background on airports. You have minimum airport standards, and there are certain standards on how you maintain your airport. And I've already made a request to get some samples of those, and we'll get some other cities as far as, you know, there's a variety of things. They're called minimum airport standards. And that's probably what you were getting at. Hose
Yeah.
And
Well, yeah, the hose, for instance, is
hose
just
and
short enough that.
hose and hangers
Yeah.
and fuel
Yep.
and so I've made requests to get some samples, and we'll be talking to our airport manager about that.
Okay. Don't forget, we do have an airport advisory board as well.
And they meet quarterly.
That I don't know.
Well, they haven't met in a long time. I know that. I know that. But and maybe if we had that meeting, maybe it would be everybody that would be at that meeting. And I believe that's all that I have.
Brad?
Okay, a couple things. At the last meeting, Bailey came and talked about the splash pad, and I have talked to her, talked to Josh. We met at the site of the splash pad and just want to, I know you all had some time to think about it. Do you have any questions about the splash pad, anything I can answer, or maybe even Josh could answer?
I do.
Okay.
And first and foremost, let me say that my wife and my granddaughter have both told me that while I have concerns that if I do anything to screw up the splash pad coming to Fort Scott with a stupid question, that I'm going to be exiled from my home. That's not the intent. I have had several calls though, from citizens that live here, and I think, you know, I've kind of weeded out what looked valid questions that I'd like feedback on. One of the first ones was with the issues we have with our water system and our sewer system. Have we had the sewer team, you know, Scott Flater's crew, anybody actually look at the sewers over there to see if any additional water flowing down that is going to cause
I got that one. I got.
any problem?
We will not go through the sewer. We went over there the other day. Going through the sewer, you would have to bore underneath the road.
Okay.
And with the amount of chlorine that is actually going to be in this water, it can go into our storm drain system. So it'll actually go into our stormwater drains, which is very close to the area. It is actually the chlorine is similar to basically what you're drinking by the time it gets to that level.
Okay.
So
What about the stormwater drains?
there's no, it's going into the river.
Okay.
And by the time it gets to the river,
Yeah, the only thing is Bill will happily test it like they do everything else, you know, once a month, whatever. But Bill has a level. Bill was there too, and he said we keep it at a 1. We told him everything, and Bill's like, "Oh yeah, it goes right into the stormwater."
And I understand the importance of making it non-recirculating. You don't want E. coli or anything else in the water. Item number 2, which some folks have had a little bit of exception to, is I know we've used the term. It's not going to cost the city anything. It's free water that's coming up. Well, keep one thing in mind as we discuss this. A lot of the citizens in this town are saying that their water bills have gone up 30-40%, and we're going to be throwing water in the air. And that water is, to your point, still getting treated by city chemicals and everything else. So I think we need to back away from saying it's not going to cost anybody.
We didn't say it was free. I mean, we have been, but the thing we put out showed we factored in electricity and labor, and so we can factor in the gallons we run through the systems, divide it by our budget, and so we get the wholesale value of the water and not the retail value. The wholesale value is probably $200 to $300.
Okay, but I think where there were concerns, where the Facebook page says it's not going to cost anybody anything for the water.
I think you said your water bill will not go up because of this.
Well, hopefully it won't. But I'm just passing on those items that people have said. My water bill went up 40%, but we've got water to throw in the air.
Right. Well, now you can tell them what. Do you remember the number I just told you? $200 to $300 a month is about what it'll cost us to run it through the water.
Okay. Chemicals and all, and then of course there were questions on the questions on the maintenance and the winterizing, and I know a lot of that information was in there. But just for the commission standpoint, those were the concerns that folks brought forward that I think, you know, are valid questions that they want answers
So
to.
they said the water at the splash pad is probably about 75% of what the water we use at a golf course would be. So they'll use more water at the golf course than they would at a splash pad on average per day. Actually, so per year it's actually less because a splash pad.
I don't want to compare it like that because people could come back and say, well,
Right.
the difference is we get money back from people that play at the golf course. Right. So yeah, again, I don't want anything wrong with the splash pad. My life has been threatened within my own home for that, but I thought tonight would be a good spot
we
to bring
factor
that up.
electricity costs, we run through gallons per minute, or gallons run through the system based off the budget.
Yeah.
And working backwards, even if you factor in some depreciation, you might run at $300 a month. So that would be wholesale cost.
Okay.
So.
Great. Questions answered.
Okay. Next thing
Wait,
is
Brad, if I
go
could,
ahead.
one
Yes.
question that was brought to me that I wanted to make sure is, have we run this through the design review board?
We ran it through Carl, and so when the final comes through the design, and now so they're mapping out because there's some electric lines over there, and they got to figure out if they're dead or not. So when that's done and everything's mapped out, then we'll run it through the design review board. So
Awesome.
until we had a final thing,
I understand. Yep.
And I will say there's a chance of later on something might be brought here about the sensory money that's been sitting idle for quite a while. We've had some people reach out with other donations, so there might be some sensory. It might come to the board about adding some more stuff down there for some handicap, sensory, autistic. So, I mean, we're really trying to tie it in with the pavilion and everything. So, but yeah, the design review board, like I said, we've been working with the fort, and then so when we get a final of the colors and everything, it'll be brought to the design review board.
Yeah,
Technically, this commission will need to vote to accept this in whatever arrangement that we make with this group.
'Cause I don't think the last meeting you guys or we voted to accept that area. So,
No.
and I think we were gonna bring it back to this meeting. Is that right? Or people?
Well, I think we were gonna bring it to a vote once everything was finalized,
Mhm.
timelines, exact location, the whole 9 yards of it. At that point, we would take a vote.
Because it becomes city property.
Yeah, we'll have to. My suggestion is by the next meeting, we can give you a rough scale of the size and everything, because we'll really need that hammered out before we go, and because the company we have has their own engineer that costs, and
Mhm.
so before we get too much farther
Yeah.
on that, we really need to hammer the site out. So
Right.
by next meeting, I'd like that on there at least to approve
Do
the
you
site.
need, Josh, does the design board need to look at it prior to that?
I don't think the site. I think, and that's probably more you might know.
Would
Better.
it be possible before we vote for the next meeting to, like, even if it's just some flag stakes of where it's gonna go?
Yep.
So that we have an opportunity to go down there and see where it is, because there's other things that'll impact as well. Like I said, it's a positive thing, but other concern I have I didn't bring up, I don't have, but other people has had is, how will it impact good old days, the construction of it.
Yep, we'll, like I said, the design might change depending if that electric line's dead or alive, and so when everything's safe, come in. But I think what we can do is probably get you a couple of scales, say, it look like this if this line's dead, and it'll look like this if it's not. So
I would prefer if we sent something to the design review board just to get their feedback before we vote on it as a commission, just so that we're inclusive of our boards and let them know that we value their opinion.
the colors and stuff like that. I didn't know
They
would
don't
vote.
pick the sites.
That's
They
what I'm
don't get to
saying.
pick
No,
the
no,
sites.
right.
What about they picked the stuff that was already standing, already in place? Or unless it was gonna be a new build in the historic district down there.
I have to read through. Unless they can meet before, then I can get something. Maybe they can meet the day before. But like I said, we just need approval on the site, not necessarily
Okay.
The
we
colors,
can
the
change
scheme,
colors
that
based on design review
it's
board,
just
but
the location.
Well, ultimately, we need to have an understanding of how this proceeds further from the standpoint of codes, when we take over, what, permits, that sort of thing.
we can have something. We had something drawn up before, and so we can get that.
If you have an outline, and if you want it to go before the design, we can do that. I don't know when's their normal time. Don't they meet?
I think it's on call basis.
It's on, yeah,
It's on
they
call.
only meet when needed.
But based on other site questions, I think it would be advantageous to get their input. I'm not trying to slow it down. I'm just being cautionary.
No, I don't wanna slow it down either, but I would like to at least see kind of once those lines are looked at, kind of an outline of where it's gonna exactly sit.
I think it's just an agreement that we know where it's going to go. It's kind of set in stone.
An agreement of where it's
gonna go.
Yeah, so maybe something, Josh, I don't know, the committee, maybe they draw it up and draw the.
Yeah, we got CAD renderings and everything, so we'll have CAD renderings of our proposal. If it changes, we'll just kind of show what it would look like.
Yeah, your guy could probably show where it looks like. He could probably do a site thing.
Yeah.
And those plans, if you have those, then that could go to the design committee.
Yeah, and we do want to remind the design committee when we take this to them that they have worked hand in hand with the National Park Service and the National Historic Site to make sure that their input was included in every aspect of this.
Yeah, we weren't bypassing that. They said we're not to a point yet where, because with the new person coming on the fort too, we wanted her opinion of not only the colors, but of maybe do we go tropical, do we go forest, and so we've really tried to get multiple opinions. So before we bring something to design review board and it changes, so I think we're pretty close. So
Is this in tune with the T-Mobile grant?
yeah,
Are you
so-
working hand in hand with the T-Mobile grant so that way it flows together with the fort and that?
Yeah, we work with
Okay.
the T-Mobile grant also in the pavilion, so Yeah, we're really trying to take every avenue.
Okay.
So the next thing's lake items. What I just gave you is just for visual, just for you to look at. I will also post it in the next commission meeting. It is the updated bid price for the installation of 2-inch meter. I think Matthew wanted Doug to get this for you. He got it. It's a 2-inch meter at the west entrance of the lake. It's also bringing a 4-inch main line from the airport. So this is materials and rock sawing, $84,000. Again, I will bring this to the next meeting for you to talk about what you want to do with it. And if needed, I'll have Doug come so he can explain some more. But
Yeah.
I wanted to give that to you also.
That seems like a decent price, Brad. The only thing I'd like to see, and I think I asked for it at the last meeting, was the money that we had established in the lake fund to the commission.
The total amount.
The total amount minus expenditures of what have gone out already, for instance, for new docks, for valve stem work and stuff like that.
So basically money left.
Money left, yeah, and make sure that we've included those items that are in there because, and I also want to make sure for the benefit of the folks at the lake. I was trying to find it, and fortunately I was able to dig around and find it. Is one of our meetings in here, we'd actually prioritized, you know, what did we want to get done out there, and I want to make sure we're kind of going in line with that as well.
Something with the lake that I took on my own to do is have Doug go out for quotes on guttering for the shelter house that's out there. Because right now, every time it rains, it brings dirt and mud into the shelter house, which makes it to where you can't use it. I really feel with your list you're talking about, Tim, it should be justifiable that we utilize something we already have so people can use it. And the shelter house is something that we already have stable that can be used by our citizens or the lake residents to have picnics or parties or whatever. Of course, right now it's 25 degrees, but still, when it's a 55-degree day, why not give them the opportunity to utilize this until the new installation's up and running or whatever we vote on. So we do have the quotes for that.
I'll forward this to you. This was
Okay.
right off of the whiteboard up here.
Shelter house, there you go.
Shelter house, yep. But I mean, water was number 5 down the list. So.
But what were those other items, real quick, Tim?
Electricity, lighting, 4 docks, restrooms, and of course you can't have restrooms without water. But also, in addition to the shelter house, it was ADA access down to the lake.
Yes. Yep. So I believe the docks are already ordered. So we're just waiting on those to show up. So
Yeah.
that one's been accomplished. The electric should be included in this. Heartland Electric has already given Doug a quote on the electric. So we have a quote on that. And Brad, if you could make sure we have that as well.
Yeah, I'll get that. No, I'll get that also.
But again, to make sure that we don't get halfway and run out of funds, I'd like to know what's left.
Right. No, I agree with you. Yes. Yeah. I just know from the input of the Lake Advisory Board, they would like to see the electric and the water because every other project that's on that list is incumbent upon us having the electric and the water in that area.
I think the ADA accessible to the beach area, is that what it was? I think that should be pretty doable here. I mean, I'd like to get quotes or something. I mean, because going down there, I mean, I don't think it'd be that difficult to do. I think it's something we can do in-house.
Well, we can do it in-house, but it has to actually be like ADA accessible. I mean, your idea of what is ADA in mind, you know, compared with what actually ADA would see
It has to be a 42-inch wide
beach,
concrete pad at less than 4% grade for every 8 foot.
Can it be done in brick?
There's no clause that says it can't be done in brick.
We're doing cart paths that way.
I saw that. Yes.
Looks really good too.
Yeah. We may have to steal those to repair brick roads here before long.
But yeah, it would be great to get as much of this stuff done as possible. I just want to make sure we don't run over budget on it.
So other things I've got, and I'll try to make it really quick. Some of the things we're working on, I'm going to do this Winter Street program last, since that's the longest thing. RV parking at Gun Park, we're looking at starting that here pretty quick. I'm sure this is going to come up. Memorial Hall steps. Talked to Jason about that as something that I really want to pursue really quick. Lagoon update. We had a meeting down at wastewater plant yesterday, and just from a month and a half ago to now, I know it sounds weird talking about the water we're talking about, but the water does seem to be clear, so that's a good thing. And the oxygen levels are getting higher, which is really good because that means the bugs are working. So the oxygen levels in the water is getting higher. We have a meeting with ADM on December the 14th to follow up on what they are doing. I would love to give you the numbers that I heard yesterday, but I cannot remember them. And they probably wouldn't make any sense to any of us. But the experts tell me these numbers are really good compared to what they were before all this happened, and a lot of it is what we're getting from ADM. So what they are doing is working also in trying to cut down the numbers they're bringing, or the toxic water they're bringing to us. Cooper Street is open. Everyone, I hope, knows about that. Hopefully has road on that, or at least from East National to 20th Street is open. We'll talk about the rest of it at a later date. So the cart path, we talked about a little bit of that. We have been working a lot. Doug and his crew have done a great job on the cart path. They have done some different things on that. So a couple other things. I'd like to just put something in your ears. Next year's budget, I would like to see us start talking about implementing a brick crew, because you all live here, you all ride the brick streets. I don't care how many people we have on staff, we won't be able to keep up with the amount of bricks that we need to repair without adding staff. And I figure with a crew, and we had this when I was here before. I know that's been a long time. I was part of the crew. 3 people were on that crew, and it worked. That's what they did every day, with lay bricks. And so that's something that I'll bring up in probably a couple weeks. We don't need to talk about it till probably next year anyway, or at least January. Question I got: Coracoma training. Before I get a bill, I don't know if you've got time. Have you guys taken your Coracoma training? Because the lady emailed me.
I watched the YouTube video.
That's it. Yep, that's the only
Do
thing.
we need
you
to take
have
a
to do.
test or anything?
Nope.
No.
Nope.
Just waiting for the test.
Nope. You should get a receipt for it, so that'd be good. Well, I'll have to get him hooked up. I got a note there for that. Let's go over to Winter Street program just to keep you involved in what's going on, in case you get questions. The street department and myself have met a few times about our Winter Street program. I'm going to be brutally honest. I hope you understand. I hope citizens understand. With the amount of years that have been gone with our streets deteriorating, lack of staff, we've got a lot to come up with. And we have tried to figure out the best way possible to get as much done in the winter months as we possibly can. And we feel with this, the way that I've wrote on this piece of paper, this program will be the way. And we feel the top 5 areas that we need to look at is alley repairs, brick road repairs, ditch cleanups, customer concerns, and pothole patching. We feel we must continue to do all 5 of those. So as you can tell here, we're going to have some weeks 5 crews, some weeks 4 crews, some weeks 4 crews, and then customer concern week, we will have all staff broke into crews doing We feel we can get a lot done in the time that we've got until we either decide we're going to do Cooper or until we decide we're going to do Cape Seal. So
Do you have certain designated brick streets that you do first?
yes,
Okay.
yes, I've got a list,
Okay.
and I'll break that out into my the action in progress report, so I can give that to you too. But basically, with the crews, crew 1 and 2 are the most experienced crews we've got. Those are the guys that's got the operating skills. Those are the ones that know how to run a piece of equipment, things like that. And but all of our guys on the street crew are doing a tremendous job getting things done, doing what we need them to do, answering to the bell really quick. So what's left in 2022, we're going to continue working on the emulsion tank. We got some electrical work to be getting prepped for that. Also, we're getting ready to start on the courthouse street over here, try to see if we can find the water leak that's going on. But if not, we'll have to try to figure out what we're going to do with that. But we will have to do some concrete work. One thing I would like to throw out, the tree trimming, as you can tell there, that doesn't sound very important, but I know Matthew knows about this, and Josh, since you drive a bus also, you know how important it is to get the tree trimmings done, because if they hit buses, they fall on the ground. They hit dump trucks. When we're doing snow removal, they fall on the ground. The problem with that is we don't have the staff to do it. So I would like to go out and get some bids for that, some outsource, and then we'll look at it. If our hourly rate versus how many people it's going to take is cheaper, we'll try to figure out a way. But we don't want to miss out on our alleys, pothole patching, and ditch work and brick work and things like that. But any questions I'll answer. Some things, that's improved. We went from 4 staff members in 21 to 10 in 22. And like I said, we've got some members that are experienced operators, plus the guys that we have on staff that aren't experienced operators are getting experience, because we feel we have to be able to back each other up. So,
do we pay for any extra training for them?
It's on the job with the experienced operators we have. They basically, I mean, we've got one operator that's been running equipment since he worked with me here in 1990, and another probably 15, 20 years. Jerry's got 15, 20 years experience. So, I mean, we've got a lot of experience that really is beneficial to us. So I just wanted to give that to you to let you see what we're doing. So if anybody asks questions, you'll know what's going on. But we'll continue updating social media to get everybody involved. I appreciate the citizens for giving me their feedback, negative or positive, on problem areas that they see, and we'll keep plugging away and trying our best to make things go right.
I will say on Cooper Street, I know it's going to come up whether we do it in-house or bid out. So next meeting or the meeting after, I would love to see a bi-weekly or semi-monthly timeline of, if we start in March, by this commission meeting, we'll have this done, by this laid out all the way till it's finished.
Can have it. Yep, I can do that.
And is there the possibility we can also get a cost study of how much it costs us to do it?
To do East National the 20th, or you mean
what we've currently done?
Yeah, we can do that. So yeah, we got the account that we can look at.
Okay.
And I know this is a lot, but when you talk about bidding out the tree trimming, do we ever do a study of what we bid out that we could do in-house, but because of lack of staff, we don't have time?
We don't bid out all that much anymore. No, at least not in a year and a half. So,
I mean, I know
I know waterways we have. I can look at that and see.
Because even if it's one, even if we, not that they can do it, but if we're bidding out 30,000 a year, we can add an extra person that could work on waterway or whatever,
Yeah, we've got to be very picky on what we bid out, because that is money lost.
RV
Yes.
parking, do we have a design on how they're gonna do it. I know the Parks Committee.
We're actually having a meeting tomorrow with Norman, Tom, and myself. And once we're done with that, I was going to see if the Parks Advisory Board would want to meet for a quick meeting.
'Cause I know that sales
Mhm.
tax still, we gotta do something here in the next 2 to 3 months.
But we'll have it done by then.
I know, just something with that sales tax accomplishing, so the citizens that
Mhm.
it's not just sitting there.
And we have also, I talked to Jason about the bathrooms, the shower house by the RV park. I would like to get that going.
What do we need to do to get that going?
I need to get his paperwork so we can get the quotes.
Can you have that, Jason, by next meeting?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So next meeting. So can you put that on the agenda for next meeting, Lisa? Or Sherry?
They'll have to go out for
That's
bid.
fine.
They'll have to go out for bid, but yeah.
Well, we can put it on there, Lisa. We can get
So
a
he can
timeline of
talk.
RFP.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
So what specifically do you want?
And RV slots or just the bathrooms?
Yeah, well, that for Jason. So
Jason's just the bathrooms.
But on the agenda.
yeah, if you could.
Brad, can you update us?
Sure.
Okay.
We'll hopefully be close, but maybe started by then. So
And I
we'll
got
start
one
the
more
groundwork.
Question about the parks, and that's kind of also
Okay.
the rubber mulch. Glad we did it, but that was a matching grant, and so I don't remember that ever coming to the commission. Did that come to the commission to vote on? I mean, it's probably before your time, so I don't remember that ever coming. And I think it's like $30,000 is our cost.
Yeah, I'm not sure. That was before me.
And
That's
so
before
I'm
I
just
started doing it.
curious of where that $30,000 is going to come from.
We could ask Ben and see where we can get it.
Because if it's, I looked at the parks fund and I don't see it in there. Now it's in the sales tax fund.
No, I think.
I think it's in the special-
I think it's in the special. fund
Special parks.
In the deal.
It's-
I think.
I just hope it's not the special sales tax.
It's not,
fund.
it's not in the special sales tax fund, because I did look at that after you mentioned it. And Devin and I both looked. It's not in that one. It's in the other parks fund.
And like I said, I'm loving this one. You know, 2 years
Mhm.
ago we had the county bring us pea gravel or whatever, but
Mhm.
once again, we have protocols or whatever.
Yes.
So I just want to know who approved the $30,000 matching grant.
I would have to get you a number for somebody else. Because.
If we can just see where the breakdown
So,
was on that.
No, I mean, that,
Awesome.
yeah.
Brad, anything else?
No,
Oh,
I'm good.
okay.
Only thing is, great job on the Christmas parade, Lindsay. It was really good. Christmas tree looks great. I appreciate all the donations and the help with the lights. I know, I mean, it looks wonderful. I did go to, I hate saying this online, but first time I've ever been to the candlelight tour in 42 years, 41 years, and man, it was cold, but it was pretty special. It was pretty neat. Even Matthew got me a shot. So yeah, it was great. I mean,
And then we have a Christmas party.
a Christmas party this Friday. So I mean, good times right now. I hope citizens can see that we are trying to do our best. There's going to be ups and downs. I don't care which way you go with it. There's going to be good. There's going to be bad. It's life is a roller coaster, and so is work. So we're going to try our best to serve whatever we can. So
And
thank
one
you.
more thing, sorry. I know Matthew and I have been talking about this brick streets for almost a year now. Is there any way, we talked about the street between Main and National, which is First Street.
Yes. The one that we tore up, working
So,
on the buildings and all
Is there
that.
any way we can see, like, use that example and get this crew, say, how long would it take you to do this? What do you think?
The whole brick, the whole block.
Just that one block.
Because you said in 2023 you want to have a brick crew. I'm assuming you meant to, or was that just a patch?
Well, I mean, you've seen how many patches we're going to have to go
Right.
through.
Right.
And
But there's just a few blocks.
I'd
in
have to
town.
really do some looking to see if I can get you an estimate on
So
that.
the brick
That's
crew you were talking about was just patching.
well, you can do larger patches,
Mm-hmm.
but you're talking a whole block here.
And as far as that one block goes, I still have a group of volunteers who are ready to come in and lay bricks if we can do the groundwork lay the concrete and get the sub base taken care of. We have citizens in this town who will gladly give up their time to relay all those bricks if we can give them the opportunity to do it.
Brett, your face. I'm sorry.
Let me go back and tell you, Josh. Let me do some think. Let me do some thinking on that, because you do know we have to concrete the hole underneath that.
Mm-hmm.
And with that, Matthew, we'd have to really look at the liability.
Right.
That would be a big thing.
Yeah.
And even with a waiver, I'm not so sure. I mean,
yeah, I talked to the
they
city.
may volunteer one day.
Yeah.
They may not come back
They
after
may not
one day
Yeah.
of bricklaying.
Yeah.
Yeah, one day of bricklaying, they may not come.
The city attorney said it would be exactly the same as the ones we have signed the waivers to work on the city parks or on the trails or anything like that. It would be exactly the same. But yes,
Minus
Yeah.
the traffic that'll run you over.
well, we'd
Yeah,
probably
but
close
let
off
me-
the road.
Let
for
me
their
put
safety.
let me put pencil to paper, Josh, and
I just
I know I
about
can
your
figure
brick
something
roof,
out.
yeah.
I know I can figure something out. I just you got me with that one. So let me look
And we
it
can
up.
also buy that bricklaying machine to do it for us.
I would go for that. That
Right.
would be okay, but yeah.
We can get it on a slow boat from China for a good price.
Put it
on your capital list.
That's right.
No, thank you, commissioners. Thank you very much.
Engineering comments? Jason?
Mayor Commissioner, just update on status. Southwest Industrial Park water line is still at the state for review. I got the permit document from Jeff for the CDBG sanitary sewer project, so I can send that to the state. Horton and 6th Street, we're still progressing with plans. I'm waiting on some right-of-way information, so there's a couple spots where our sidewalks have to clip some corners, so I need some good ownership information there. 17th and Eddy, they're kind of still delayed a little bit with the gas company relocating a gas line on Crawford, and now probably something on National. So I've reached out along with the contractor to the gas company, and just haven't had, I don't know if it's timing, wintertime being a problem or what, but trying to get that pushed along. The C-Clip project, I guess I just want to check that 1302 form, was that sent back last week?
Yes.
To the state, okay. You mentioned Memorial Hall steps. I've still got to finish the bid documents for that. I hope to have that ready so you can approve it at the next meeting. So that'll go along with the shower house and I guess and bathrooms for Gun Park for some bid documents.
Shower house, yes, sir.
Yeah. And then on top of that, a little update on the pavilion stuff. I started looking at, I know we met out there with Josh and some people. So based on the site, I think my understanding is, again, we want bid documents, and we talked about designing the pavilion. I started looking at that, and with that span, you want an open span of 70 feet. That's going to take some very massive steel beams that may be cost prohibitive. So what I would like to do is, and normally the guys that build this will provide the design. So what I want to do is give a couple alternates. So do one with the open span, which is about 70 feet.
What do you think about, same as on the Memorial Hall steps, about going out for RFPs and having a pre-bid meeting before the bid documents go out and kind of getting an idea, just so instead of having two different bids, and so you can kind of talk in a pre-bid meeting, saying, well, this and this, and then that way you can kind of throw the bid together based off some people that would actually do the job.
Yeah, we can do that.
I don't know if that's a
Is that
way.
a design bill?
I kind of feel like that would be better for the pavilion.
Well,
but-
and I think for Memorial Hall in particular, I know the importance of the ADA compliance on there as well. I mean, we don't really want to bid just to repair the steps that are there.
The building's already ADA compliant. We have ramp on the backside.
Yeah.
It's,
I know, but we had talked about the steps on the front. I mean, there's not much parking behind that building.
that's true, but if we did that to the front steps, then we're also going to have to do something to the entryway and the foyers, because there's the only ADA accessibility comes in that back door, and then there's ramps that come down and then feed into the main area via ramps. So it wouldn't just be the steps to make it ADA. We'd also have to redo the foyer and the steps going into the
I
main.
will say that the back ramp actually has a lot of parking accessible to it. Now that I went and looked at it and everything, where it's set up, because you have the whole road. I mean, compared to the main steps, parking's actually closer to the back than a lot of it. And so we talked about events, maybe just that back parking lot between the library and Memorial Hall, just for
Handicap accessibility.
But just to get the ball rolling on that, I would love to have nothing against your bid documents, but maybe having a proposal of putting it out for people to go look at it and send us some proposals of what they would do to the steps, whether it's total reconstruction or the same thing they did 15 years ago, or what's your idea?
Right. Well, we have one, maybe two proposals for that already.
So since you're the engineer, so what's the downside of just going out for RFPs without the pre-bid document?
For that, I mean, they still should do their due diligence and go look at it. So they're going to come up with their plan
So can we
before
send
they
this out
bid.
to RFPs right now before you're?
So I guess the question is, if we know what we want
Right.
for, like, say, the shower house and the bathrooms down there, do we have to go through your bid documents, or can we basically go out for quotes?
Yeah, I mean, for something like that, it's just as easy to go out for quotes.
As long
But
as
you
we
got to
know
give
what we
them
want.
some guidelines, right?
Yeah, as long as we know exactly
So
what
like
we
if
want.
I made a motion to go out for a request for proposals for Memorial Hall steps, what would be the best way of doing that?
Well, so the trick is, the city tried it before.
Right.
So you kind of laid out a couple paragraphs of what you needed and a couple pictures, and then nobody bid. So we wanted to get a better grasp of what would be needed. So I think MCI looked at it, and maybe another company, restoration company. So they've got an idea of what they think needs to be done, which lined up pretty close with what we
I
think.
I remember those. I think the bid documents sometimes scare away some people.
Yeah, so the original bid document was a page, so it didn't give them a lot of structure, I guess. But so from that to what we would provide is going to be a lot different. So we're going to have some standard bid language and all kinds of stuff in there, but for that type of job, the insurance requirements, all that type of thing will be in there, which I think is necessary. But
When an RFPs, that can be entered, because that's pretty standard. That usually transfers from one. It's nothing new.
right.
And so once, just to make it clear, if I went out for RFPs right now, based off, go look at it, send us back your proposal of what you do to the steps. Is that something you think would be
Yeah.
good?
That's feasible.
I mean, is it bad at all? What's the downside of it?
It's just I don't know if there's a downfall.
Okay, so I'll make a motion to go out for RFPs for repair
And or replacement.
and or replacement of Memorial Hall steps.
Second.
With review by the engineer.
Oh, yeah. This will come back for proposals, and then Jason will see the proposals, and he can say, hey, this or that. And so, this is by no means bypassing Jason. Yeah.
That's
so,
the biggest risk.
Yeah, Jason will review all these and work hand in hand with the person. The RFP,
Right.
you can put out the standards that we need,
Basics.
Yeah, basics.
And piggybacking off that, can we also make a motion? Do we want to vote on this one first
You have
to
to
go
do
out for the
one.
proposals for the pavilion as well?
Oh, yeah.
It has to be two separate
All right.
motions.
Josh Jones,
Yes.
Tim Van Hooky,
Yes.
Edwin Woha,
Yes.
Matthew Wells,
Yes.
Katie Harrington.
Yes.
I guess in my motion, I should have put a date. And so, I guess, do I need to amend that?
You
to
need
say
to amend-
proposals come back. I want to make sure we get enough time for proposals, and so.
You have
And
to
so
amend-
That's the issue.
I would
Got
say
the holidays.
I
Well,
would
it'd
say
be tough.
proposals come back.
If he
By
Date, times.
by the 24th of January. Do you think that's plenty of time, or is that not enough time?
Should be enough.
Should be enough time.
Yeah, he's got to find bidders.
Second.
Is that the end of business day?
Yeah, 5 p.m.
Okay.
24th.
Needs to have time.
So there's also like these brick things that come out on the sides, like you need to specify, and there's
It's
some of the bricks come out.
the steps. It's
Well,
whatever.
so
Like, do you need to specify
the proposal will be.
like all that?
Yeah, I mean, Jason will work with them on RFPs. They'll call.
Yeah, so one thing that maybe would be beneficial is when we advertise it, we need to have some items. So I'm going to say I need a bid on a per cubic foot of concrete replacement, per square foot of brick repair that covers those columns.
And
then
handrails.
The coating system will be a square foot thing.
And
That
that's
way,
where you can use your. I mean, we try to shoot enough where you can have the alternate, or whatever you need.
right. So I can put that together, and that would be what we advertise to bid.
Cool.
And I can, so I'd want to have that done by, well, before the next meeting. For sure. Because that's, what is that?
We're meeting the 20th.
Yeah.
And I would like to make a motion.
Wait.
that- We're not done? Come
You
on.
got. We already have a motion on the floor.
Gotcha. It's
We have
been
amendment.
seconded.
We
I thought
have
we
to
voted on it already.
amendment to the motion.
Yes, ma'am.
So we got to
Yes,
vote on
ma'am.
that one first. Sorry.
Josh Jones, the motion, Tim Van Hook, second, correct?
No, this
Yes.
is an amendment to the motion.
Right,
Yeah.
the amendment.
Yes.
Amendment to proposal to come back
January
by
24th.
January 21st at 5 p.m.
Yes.
All right. Josh Jones,
Yes.
Tim Van Hookie,
Yes.
Edwin Wohoff,
Yes.
Matthew Wells,
Yes.
Katie Harrington.
Yes. So the motion reads. You have to state what the motion reads now. I'm sorry. You do. So that way we have clarification. I'm sorry.
You're doing a great job. Both of you ladies.
The motion reads that we go out for our RFPs for Memorial Hall steps. Bids come back January 24th by end of business day.
Madam Mayor, can I make a motion?
Nay.
Thank you.
Let her finish first. All right.
I would like to motion that we go out for RFPs on the T-Mobile Pavilion to be a structure 70 foot by 170.
Is that an amendment to this motion?
No, this is all brand new emotion.
This is for the T-Mobile
Yeah.
brand.
Did we vote on the first one?
We did.
Yeah, we did.
Okay.
And the amendment.
I'm sorry,
I'll go ahead and, as part of my original motion, make sure we have those back by January 24th at the end of business.
Yeah, but I'll second that. And same thing, Jason, if you want to have a bidder alternate, whether it's
Wood or metal.
wood or metal, and then corrugated or.
Standing seam, sealed seam, wood shake.
I think you had that. It was sent to you, some of that.
No,
And if not, if
it
you
wasn't.
could get with, sorry,
I still need that.
if not, if you could get with Rob on that.
Okay.
Or if it's
We
something.
can have Rob get it to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I don't know if I had all the alternates sorted out. But
Okay. Josh Jones,
We have a second. Who's
Yes.
second?
Josh seconded.
Okay.
Tim Van Hookie,
Yes.
Keeping us by the butt.
Edwin Wohoff,
Yes.
Matthew Wells,
Yes.
Katie Harrington.
Yes.
the only other thing I had was update for The wastewater treatment plant, I know he mentioned some of the lagoon stuff. The aeration and the baffle should be here within a week or two, so
Wow.
they'll be starting to work on those items as well. Meeting was canceled, yes. So, any other questions? That's all I got.
My only other question is where we are or what we have to do for the next cycle of the C-CLIP grants.
There'll be a call for projects probably February.
Okay.
So I'll just be kind of prepared. And whatever we exhibits and estimates, we'll have that ready and go through. And I think we'll have Jeff sign. I don't know if he has to sign, but he'll be the contact for that. So, but I'll probably, if you would like,
I thought it was Brad.
that'll have to be approved by you guys.
Application for another C-CLAP. That's
Mhm.
what you're asking
Yep.
for.
Yeah,
So
for the next
when
year.
he gets we get the stuff, we'll bring it
Yeah.
before the board.
Okay. Thank you, Jason.
Thanks.
Commissioner comments. I'm going to go first tonight. I have quite a bit, so that's why I'm going first. Pizza Republic's taking donations for bikes and money donations for the Beacon. Please have everything donated by next Friday. They have things in Pizza Republic now. Also, Legacy Group is collecting unwrapped toys at the hospital on December 14th. They will also have a tree lighting at 1 p.m. They will also be giving away hams to every person who donates toys, and that is while supplies last. Christmas in the Park this weekend. Please get out and enjoy that. It is on Saturday. Worked hard to put up decorations at Gun Park. Also, Police and Fire is having chili at Shelter House 5. Finally, I want to thank all the city workers and the Chamber of Commerce. Lindsay, thank you on the amazing Christmas parade and the tree lighting. It was wonderful. A little windy, but it was great. Great event. It was nice to see a lot of people downtown. I think that was like the most people I've seen out at a Christmas parade. It was wonderful. One other thing, Brad, I want you, if you don't mind, to reach out to Southeast Kansas Area Agency of Aging. This was at the Commission County City thing about them asking to talk about needs for the Meals on Wheels program here in Fort Scott. I know they were asking for $10,000. Maybe we could contribute, but I want to see if that person can come in and talk with us to see what their needs are. If you don't mind to reach out to them. Okay. Edwin, would you like to go next, sir?
Yeah, I have no additional comments.
Oh, Josh?
Yeah, I've got a few things, but I do have a couple things. Cape Seal list, did we talk about that meeting before and it's supposed to come back to the commission? Is that right?
We, as far as I knew, we directed Brad to go ahead and go out for bid on that list.
I can send it to you.
Okay.
I can send it to all of you.
All right. Number two, been a lot of talks about a company in town that's been cutting. Well, J.R. Riddell's been cutting in streets and stuff, and so I was just making sure that if they've been pulling permits. I've asked that.
No, they have not.
And so I don't know if there was an agreement set up prior to us when Carl Can came in. If there's an agreement where they don't have to pull up permits, because I know there's some work that's been done by J.R. Riddell that's not satisfactory, and
I have, I need to look for that agreement if there is one. I'll have to look for that one. But I did pull the ordinance for excavations, and I've also talked to Norm on codes. He has talked to Crawl Can, and I told Norm, I instructed him to give them a time frame on when we want this repaired, the sites that we have seen so far. And after that time frame, if we have to go do it ourselves, we will charge them. And that, you know, I also talked to Thomas, and I'll talk to Norm in the morning. Norm's already gone. About, I want them in here so they can get permits so we know where they're going.
yeah, I would ask by next meeting, we see a list of permits, J.R. Riddell's.
I've got a
Or-
list
or
here, but they're not,
anybody.
they're not,
Anybody.
they're not up to date.
The ordinance is on the books.
Okay.
Mhm.
Back to golf, one thing we've talked about, do we have anything in the books out there about number of people on a hole at a time? Like I said, I'm not a big golfer,
Yep.
but
It's on the rule sign out there. The only thing is I think the sign is still facing the wrong direction for anybody to actually read it unless we flipped it around.
yeah,
We have
so-
not flipped it around.
So we just need to make sure that those are being enforced.
It's a golf ranger.
Yeah, and so like I said, I don't.
We can also have them tell them at the clubhouse, because like every other course that I go to, when we set up a tee time, they will check you in. They will see how many people are in your party. You're not allowed to have any more than 4 in your party, or they split you parties and give you a separate tee time.
And four, I'm not a golfer, but we go with 5 a lot. Anything over 4 for scrambling, but like I said, I'm not a golfer. One thing that we've been talking about for 2 years is how do we get people back in? They used to have a card that they scanned. If
what?
you're a member or something, that some of the members said before they had something they used to scan.
Yeah.
To track when they come in. And
yeah.
What I would like to see done, and we talked about going into 2023 with this, is getting, and I know somebody we can get these from, is getting basically a barcoded card, put our logo and, make it nice, and to where you scan in so we know who's out on the course. We know how many times you've played in a year and this and that. Getting people to do that is just going to be something we'll continue to have to harp
That's
on
just-
to get them to do it. But we do want to buy these barcoded cards. We want to wait until the first of the year so we can get a new budget.
Is it like the ones they use the pool to scan in?
They'll probably be almost like a credit card and have, well, your
I've
football
used
cards.
one.
Yeah.
Your football cards, they'll have a big card and a little card.
Yeah.
Where you can swipe it.
We had a system out there because I've had an annual membership out there for years, and every time I would go in and swipe the card, the guys say, "Well, I appreciate that, but this thing doesn't work anyway." So
We've updated our system to Square, and it's worked marvelous. So it's good.
Just a couple other things real quick. I sent something to Brad. Pittsburgh does a great evaluation at the end of the year for each departments. As far as like tourism, how much heads and beds was last year to this year, court, the fines from last year to this year, whatever, fire calls. And I don't think we have any type of evaluation really in place. And I would love to see something for that, as well as, how many water leaks did the water department fix, but Pittsburgh has a great template that they've used for a long time that you can get. They put it out with their budget each year. And I would love something like that so we can, how many alleys, talk about the alleys, how many alleys did we fix, go through this year? So
Do they do that quarterly and then at the end of the year just do one big?
they might. I just know at the end of the year I see it on their budget. When I look
Okay.
at their budget, it's on their,
Performance measurements.
Yes.
Which you got, but I know those guys down there. He used to work for me. So I'll call Darren
yeah.
and talk to him, get a copy. We can check on that.
All right.
The problem with those is, I'll talk to you about it either. There's pros and cons to
Our dispatch agreement with the county, I noticed, is the one last I seen was from 2007. It expired in 2017, unless there was a new one up that I haven't seen. The same fee from 2007 is what's being paid now. I think at one time when Mercy was here, EMS, I can't remember how that worked. EMS might have paid a dispatch fee, so I want to know if EMS pays a dispatch fee now, or I know each town used to pay something. So on that, I don't know if we need to redo that contract since it's expired or what. And then the last thing is, I seen in Jeff's comments that he redid our city attorney's contract, which, and what your thing says, authorized by the former government, city manager, appoint, remove all heads of departments, officers, and employees. I will say Bob's not a head of department, an officer, or an employee of the city of Fort Scott. He's a contract employee. And so our rules here is all contracts have to be approved through the commission, I believe, unless I can't ask Bob.
I'll get you a copy of that, and then that was legal and
Yeah, so
interpretation. I'll be happy. It's the same thing.
No, and we haven't seen it, so and this is, don't take offense to this, but one thing in 2 years we've done transparency. So 2 weeks ago we set Bob up to maybe renegotiate your thing, and then a week later you came back with Bob's thing. So you can see the perception of that could be perceived wrong, and so and then no, you're fine. But I do think, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think all contracts have to be approved through the commission. So that contract will still have to be approved through the commission to be valid, because I don't think the city manager has, because one, the contract's over $10,000. So I think that will still have to run through the commission. Because I looked through it, there was no carryover clause like the engineer.
No, it's a year-to-year deal, and the problem was, in order to make it, we didn't have agreement. It was done by your previous city manager 2 times ago, Jeremy, and so much a month. And
yeah, it actually wasn't done by Jeremy. It was actually done by the commission.
Okay. Anyway, that was what was communicated to me, that the city manager has the ability to appoint officers, including the city attorney and other positions. The budget item, I concur.
In a lot of towns, the city attorney is on the payroll. Ours isn't. Ours is a contract employee. Yeah. So that's where it's different, in my opinion. And I'm not a lawyer, so I could be wrong.
Why don't you just check on that, Jeff? I mean, if it's in, then we can look at it.
Well, and he could comment on that too.
Sure.
And it's basic. It's the same thing that we've always. And there was people out there asking about.
Well, nothing against it, but in your notes you said but I haven't seen that. So your note says I approved this, but then there was no copy of it, so I had no idea.
Apologize.
And over the last at least the last 2 cycles that I'm aware of, including the last one, including all of us, we went out for bid for all new people, and then we voted on it, who we were going to accept. So the last 2 times the city attorney has been hired, the commission went out for bids before they accepted the contract.
And we have a difference of interpretation under the state statute and the Home Rule Charter, and I'll let Mr. Farmer communicate that. But this was done. The last time when same thing. I just in order to avoid who was the city attorney and stuff. And it was a year-to-year deal. It wasn't a continual situation. So Mr. Farmer can communicate that. I'll get you a copy, but it's the same one as what was done before.
Yeah, and I'll just real quick what Katie said. Thank you to the chamber for the parade and everything. It was a good parade, good turnout.
They have an event Friday, don't you? Don't you have an event Friday?
I want to thank you all too, and thank you for all the city workers and downtown. It's great. But yes, Friday's the late night shopping event downtown. We have 9 stores participating from 5 to 8. Another opportunity for people to get last minute gifts and shop local, but we'll be serving complimentary cocoa in front of Sunshine Boutique, the Museum of Creativity volunteers to do that for us, and then have carolers strolling through.
Lindsay, could I trouble you to repeat that in the microphone for the people at home? I just got a bunch of text.
5 to 8 downtown shopping event.
Please and thank you so much.
First of all, while I'm up here, I will tell you all thank you so much for everything the city did to make downtown look beautiful for the parade and the mayor's tree lighting. It was a great night last Thursday night. But this Friday, we have Cocoa and Caroling, a late night shopping event from 5 to 8 downtown. And so most of the stores downtown are participating, and we'll be serving complimentary cocoa in front of Sunshine Boutique from 5 to 8. Museum of Creativity volunteers to do that for us, as far as serving the cocoa and manning that. And then we'll have carolers strolling throughout downtown. If anyone's interested in caroling, just holler at me at the chamber. We would love to have more, whether it's a few family members get together or friends. We have some songbooks we can let you use with the words, or you can play music on your phone, and we'd love to have more carolers downtown.
Brad, the
Friday
city
night.
employees could all get down there an hour before
There you
the
go.
event and just carol for an hour.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's all I got.
Tim?
Yeah, again, just to kind of piggyback on here. First of all, nice to have Cooper Street back open again. That's my shortcut to Taco Bell. So I was kind of struggling without that over on the east side there. Also, last week's festivities, including the chamber and the parade, was great. I mean, there was also gallery opening at the Artificers. There were all kind of great things going on. This week that continues. I mean, there's a Casa event this Friday. There's several churches are having fundraisers and parties. We've got the employee dinner this weekend. Brad, I wanted to pass on to you. Thanks for the communication on the city website, responding back to the questions. That's been great. And I also wanted to take this opportunity as well to thank all the folks in this town that are doing positive things at this time of the year. The Rotary clubs, the Elks clubs, you name it, the Christian organizations that are out there, the VFW. I mean, it's amazing, and I appreciate organizations like Fort Scott Forward that are putting these positive things out there on the website. There's still some, and I'm going to say it, some ridiculous negativity out there. But you know what? What we need to do is just start, kind of like when you don't like the crap that they've got on television anymore. You get sick of listening to it, turn it off. I've got a few websites out there that I used to think were good informational websites for people in this town. What I've learned is I can get that same information by going to the city website if there's an announcement that needs to be made. Brad and the city crew, as well as your commissioners and other people, are trying to do the best thing that we can. And there's a lot we don't do half of what these private groups like Fort Scott Forward and Rotary Club and Angels and all these other folks do. And I'm actually getting kind of tired myself of looking at the negativity. So I'll tell you, like I've heard other people say, people will tell you, I've never turned away a phone call or an email from a citizen that had a problem. I don't think any other commissioner in here has either. But if that's the case, call me, email me, reach out to Brad or whatever. But it's time we start tuning out the negativity, especially this time of the year. And I'm very grateful for all the folks in this town, especially the ones that are going out of their way to make everybody's lives better. And that's all I got.
Thanks, Tim. Matthew? Oh my goodness.
Nah, just a few quick things.
Hold on, I got Snickers bars to
All
hand
right.
out to everybody
Yes.
because we're not going anywhere.
All right, so the first thing I had was about that hose out there at the airport. I don't know if that's something that we need to wait on or we can address, but I've been told by a couple of pilots right now that when they pull up to air their planes, even like with a Cessna, which is a really small plane in my eyes, the guy literally has to, after he gets done pumping the gas, he has to physically push the plane back about 5-10 feet from the pumping station before he can taxi back out. And if that's the case with the Cessna, that means everybody out there is having trouble with that hose. And if we want to encourage pilots to come in there, can we get a longer hose? I don't know how much that would cost.
Has it gotten shorter, or has this been a problem? Why are we just now hearing about this?
Why
are we just now hearing about this?
I don't know if the hose has gotten
I know
shorter
we
or
haven't
not.
bought a new hose in a while. So.
Maybe no one just brought it up.
Maybe no one brought it up. I
well.
was reached out to because I had been talking about the airport here for the last couple of weeks.
I will.
again,
I'll
and
get Seth. Brian's sick, but I'll get Seth to look at it and see what we can do. And
Matthew got a new plane and the hose.
yeah, the hose will reach it. Thank you.
Taking pilot lessons? We don't.
No, I'm not.
Flying a plane?
I fly a simulator, but not a real plane. That would cost way too much money. Anyway, okay. So I would like to have on the agenda for next meeting, if we can, to take action on the lake items as far as the electricity and the water. Move forward on those for the people at the Lake Advisory Board. After the beginning of the year, I would like, if everyone's in agreement, to put together a work session to go over the fines within our city and adjust those, because as I've been looking through these fines on many different things, apparently most of them haven't been adjusted since the 70s or 80s. And it's about time that if we need to rewrite these ordinances to change these fines, let's take a moment and start updating stuff, getting it.
And in honor of Skidge, can we really up the public dancing fine?
Yes, I would be all in favor of that.
So we can do the work session, but we can't vote or anything.
No.
until the meeting. Okay.
Yeah, no, I just,
So we can.
Well,
come into
I
it.
want to make, I don't want us to have
Okay.
a city commission meeting where we go through all the fines. I'd like us to identify where we want to make our changes, that we can direct the people to make the changes.
A lot of
and then
times
vote on them.
annually, of course, fines are different than fees, but I would imagine even all fees have not been looked at.
Yep.
And annually, when your budget is when you look to do that, but do you have the list of some, if you have some that you have questions on?
Every one that I look at, I have questions on at this point.
Well, I would like to know too, if we're gonna have a separate work session for that, by fine, how many were issued last year or during the last couple of years, and how many of them were actually paid or collected?
That should be real easy to pull up on the computer with our municipal.
Because you
court
can
system.
you can raise a fine as high as you want, but if nobody's paying anyway, it's kind of like, from what I understand, some of our lawn mowing fees. We go out, we mow it, we bill, we don't get paid. So,
well,
Some of these are court.
Yeah, I'm talking. Yeah.
Court fees.
So
You're more interested in a fairness issue or revenue issue?
No, I just want to look at it from a fairness, because like I said, we looked at the parking one, it was $5, we raised it. We looked at this one on the truck ordinance, when I looked into it, it was way behind the times.
Now it's $500. I mean, Matthews just.
$150. It starts at $150, but it can go up to $500.
Okay. What I know about people is that if you put a monetary association with an action, then they curb their behaviors.
If you enforce it.
That's right.
Again, an ordinance is only.
Yes.
We had the prime example today. Why don't you tear it out on my house because you get a cheaper rate?
Mm.
You know, and we have to pay people that we don't. So that's a
Yeah.
prime example.
No, and I look at the one, all of this stems from when I went on my vacation, and out there, every quarter of a mile, they had a sign up that said, no, I didn't. But I noticed that everywhere I went, those roadways were spotless because they had a $1,450 fine for littering. And they posted that sign everywhere. And that keeps people from doing it. So that if we have a coordination about our fines, we can help curb some of the things in this town that might be causing problems for people. Moving forward, I would also like us to have a work session at some point to go over the licensing. I know that I presented all of you the stuff about the contractor's license so that we can, again, try to rein in JRED-L and some of the other contractors who are destroying our roads in this town by maybe having a licensing where we can have them bonded, and then they have to pull a permit, and if they don't, then we have a financial avenue to go after them when they destroy our roads. Because there are hundreds of places around this town that JRED-L and other companies have destroyed on our roadways that we are now going to have to fix. And Brad knows this because he's going around and looking at them now. Every block of Brick Street has a concrete patch and an asphalt patch in place where gravel's dumped in the road because some utility company dug up the ground, didn't pull a permit, didn't fix the roadway correctly.
Call somebody out individually by name unless you're sure of what's going on.
We can call that company out by name. Josh can show you 20 spots, I'm sure, over on the east side. I can show you brick roads up over near where I live. I can take you and point you to the spot where they destroyed it.
Where I've had trouble, most of them are fiber companies are the toughest because they subcontract them out.
Right.
But the whole,
again, if we establish some sort of contractor's license in this town, we can hold these people responsible and we can make sure work is being done to the level that we
So
want it
it's
done.
contractor licenses.
That's what I would like us to address right now. I sent that to you, and I think I copied Brad on it.
Where do you stop with the permits and contractors?
Do you have a contractor license now on
plumbers?
plumbing,
Yeah, I was getting ready to ask plumbing.
Plumbing,
Trash we do.
plumbing, electric, and trash. That's it.
trash is actually
Just a
Business.
license, just a business
It's,
license.
It's inspection,
Okay.
truck inspection.
But
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
something.
So we've singled out two trades and one business
Do away
and
with
said,
those that we don't talk about.
no, I would like us to have others. I mean, we're literally the only town in this area that doesn't have contractor's license. I've given you all a list and I've shown you what every other town charges. It's real easy for us to move forward on some of these things. I would like to point out that on our policy that we passed this year, Brad, we told the citizens we would have 4 people working on those alleys all winter. That's at all possible?
You're,
Okay. That's what this
yeah.
represents.
There's 2 crews, 2, yes.
Okay, cool. Yes, sir. I see that.
Until, according to what Cooper does.
Okay.
And then it'll be March.
It'll be March. Okay. And then
And depends on weather.
Right. And do we have a list of alleys that we're going to start working on?
That's what I need to talk about.
Yes, sir.
We are actually going to break our town into quadrants, which would be easier for our guys to follow. First week, mostly alleyways will be in quadrant. Quadrant 1 first week, and you go off, and then the next month you go quadrant 2. They'll get through a lot of alleys. I have utmost trust in these guys. They will get through a lot of alleys.
Yes, sir.
I would say a good thing in quadrants is fine, but the wards, we already have it broken out by wards
Well,
on map. So
according to what you call
yeah, so
ward,
that map,
ward
is-
quads.
so you're not reinventing stuff using that map, which I know Pete has.
I think Jerry's got it broke up into 4.
Okay.
That'll make it easy.
That works wonderful. Thank you, Brad. One other thing that I wanted to address real quick. We're still paying Dave Martin out of the water fund.
That should end.
When is that scheduled to end?
August of 2024.
All right, then I want a motion that we stop paying him out of the water fund.
I'm not sure.
Y'all can
I'd have to look at that one.
We can
Not
pay it
sure.
out of wherever y'all decide.
We have to look into that. I don't think you can motion.
You may want to.
Can we ask
discuss-
financial? Can we ask him?
You may.
Where would you want to see it
Pulled
taken out
from.
of?
I'd be willing to listen to suggestions.
We may
The
want
general fund, anything else but the water fund. I don't understand why we're taking it.
Let's get back with you on that.
I will say, and I wasn't here when they did it, but I think the thing was with the water fund, we only have a few funds that are funded.
That you're allowed to pull from
Well, and you,
for insurance and
yeah, so what other funds that's funded by money would you pull it from? And I don't want to debate the contract itself because a lot of sense is that. So I'm saying we're stuck with it. So there's only a few funds we generate revenue from: sewer, stormwater, water, aquatic center, golf course. Other than that, I don't think of any other funds. Fines.
Two things. One, if I might. One is it may be because of the way that we pay that position. That's the first thing, And secondly, we need to look at that. We need to have legal look at that contract.
I will say, now think about it, it probably should be divided up exactly how he was divided up when he was here.
That's where so we can look at that.
Okay.
They shouldn't have been switched if that's.
I would say there's a note somewhere. I mean, Susan did a good job keeping notes. So if she's one that wrote, I'm sure she's got a note that tells why. So we'll look at that in the budget.
We
See.
need to look at the severance agreement legally.
see what that because we can't
Anyway.
amend that contract.
Right, but I don't think the contract says anything at all about where the money
may
was
not.
coming
It
from.
may not. Well,
That was a decision in one of the previous commissions.
Or
It was done by Well,
it was,
where it came from, I think.
it's probably, it was
Okay.
positioned the way it was paid for.
Okay.
Yeah, but we'll check on that.
All right. If you'll take a look into it and get back to me, then I would appreciate that.
Okay, or it may be everybody.
That's awesome. Yes.
Did you have something else?
Yeah, I've got two other things. And these are good things,
Just
so
one
don't
more
worry
thing.
about it.
Just
All right. I just wanted to compliment the town on this last weekend. The candlelight tour was awesome. We had every single tour sold out. There were people in town trying to buy tickets weeks ago because the thing had already sold out, and it was just awesome. I got to watch the parade on Facebook. It was just amazing. I'm sorry I wasn't able to participate. I promise I'll be there next year, barring any unforeseen incidences. So, just it's things like that, bringing the Christmas spirit to town, seeing the love and the joy on the children's faces, that kind of stuff just is what this town is about, and just fills my heart with such great joy and affection for the people of this town. Along with that, Tim said something very powerful. The negativity on social media is just, it is absolutely ridiculous. And my challenge is, do these people care or not care about our city? Because they're not taking into consideration that the words that they're putting out there are affecting decisions about businesses and organizations possibly investing in this town. And when they make these statements, they need to know that they are hurting our community. They are not doing these things as a benefit to our community. I know of examples where the negative statements made, in particular on Facebook, have cost us businesses that were going to come to this town. And I need these people, or I need people who know these people, to speak into their hearts and tell them of the disservice that they are doing to our community by speaking these words. And I'm going to end it with a story about a great philosopher named Socrates. And he said that all of these things should be judged by what he called the 3 sieves. And if you've never heard this story, Socrates is walking down the street and a man runs up to him and says, "I have to tell you something about someone you know." And Socrates says, "Okay, well, real quickly, before you tell me that, we're going to run it past the test of 3 sieves. The first sieve is, do you know for a fact, were you there, did you see with your own eyes and know that what you are about to say is the truth?" And the man said, "No, I heard it from somebody." "Okay," Socrates said, "then we can throw that out because we see it does not pass the truth sieve. But you have 2 more chances here. Let's go to the second sieve. The second sieve is this for the good of me? By telling me this knowledge, do I gain something good? Is it good about the person?" And again, the man said, "No, it is not." So he says it does not pass truth and it does not pass good. Well, there's one more sieve. Let's see if it can pass this one. He said to the man, "Is it necessary that I know this information?" And the man said, "No." And Socrates said to him, "So you want to tell me something that you do not know is true, that is not good, and is not necessary?" And for the people that continue to post this negativity online, I challenge you. Is it the truth? Were you there? Did you see it? Is it good? Does it benefit everyone around you? And is it necessary that you say these things?
Madam Chairman, I have one last thing. Madam Mayor.
Okay.
In my reaching out to Edwin brought up something that we had talked about, and that is that once we get through the financial situation and get that lined out, which I'm real excited about, I think you'll enjoy that when we get through it, that we need to back off a little bit and have a goal setting session so that a lot of these things, if we have a goal setting and a strategic plan, that gives our general guidance as far as where do we go. And then the pieces of the issues and stuff kind of fit into that, into those broad goals. So I thought that in my conversation, that was the first thing out of Edwin's mouth was, when do we get to have a goal setting session? And that goal setting session would not only be just with the city commissioners, but I think we could do some of it with our department directors so that we build up a team. You know, commission has a role and departments have a role, but we're and the public understands what our goal or strategic plan is. So I'm looking maybe in March, February, March timeframe that can take place.
I will say, you know, when I first came on, one thing good Pete and Kevin did was we had work sessions at least once a month, maybe twice a month, and it was good it gives us time to talk to staff, and so it did help build that relationship, and that's something we probably need to do more. Goals or things, so we can, nothing against you guys relaying our ideas, but sometimes it's better, you know, we can say why we think something. So I think we need to utilize work sessions more often.
And when you do our budget, because that'll be coming around again. In Kansas, you have to have it done by July. It's a team type arrangement, so you can hear from the department directors.
We really missed that this year. I don't think we didn't have much.
What their issues are. And so one small piece of that is this capital improvements thing that's going to come, you know, from together with the department directors. So I'm optimistic.
Yeah.
And I'm optimistic about the community.
Madam Mayor, one last item. I handed you all a copy this evening of a Brick Street policy that I've been working on since February in coordination with the Street Advisory Board, the Historic Preservation Association, and a bunch of local historians, as well as reaching out to some other cities on what their Brick Street policies were. If everyone could please take a look at that. Let me know what you think. If you have questions about it, feel free to reach out to me. And then I would like to get that on the agenda as soon as possible, because it deals specifically with some things that I have seen happening, in particular with utility companies not replacing bricks, leaving them piled up on the side of the road, and then those bricks end up missing. And I've noticed that in at least 2 different locations where utility companies have taken up the bricks, piled them on the side of the road, and then by the end of the week, all of those bricks were gone. This policy directly deals with that and with some other items. So if you would please, gentlemen and lady, go over that and let me know if there's anything at all I can do to help you.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Get my pizza.
Josh Jones?
Yes.
Tim Van Hookey?
Yes.
Edwin Woho?
Yes.
Matthew Wells?
Yes.
Katie Hearing?